That the President of the United States of America cares deeply about what's happening. Deeply. We have to communicate to the world this is critical. This is not even human behavior. It's pure barbarism. And we're going to do everything in our power to get them home if we can find them.
That CBS interview to air this weekend. The White House also offering prayers to loved ones of a Reuters video journalist reported killed by Israeli shelling in southern Lebanon. There's a new candidate for House Speaker.
Austin Scott from Georgia announcing that he will run and officially challenge Jim Jordan for Speaker.
Fox Business's Hillary Vaughn on Capitol Hill. Jordan had lost a Republican conference vote to Steve Scalise, who has since dropped out, unable to build enough support for a full House vote. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Filing the paperwork, mostly sunny at 75 downtown. Nothing on your radar. Expect a low of 55 tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:02. Republican presidential candidates are in New Hampshire taking care of campaign paperwork. It's all in your hands now, says your former governor, Mike Pence.
We entrust ourselves to the judgment of the people of the granite state. We entrust ourselves to the judgment of the American people.
New Hampshire will hold the first Republican presidential primary. Former President Trump still holds a strong lead over the GOP. A head-on collision killed a man from Indianapolis. Ryan Hedrick reports.
Sheriff Dwayne Burgess says a man driving a Honda Accord swerved into oncoming traffic and collided with a Cadillac Escalade.
He and his wife were both transported to Methodist Hospital, and Mr. Singh was transported to Eskenazi, where he was later pronounced dead.
The victim has been identified as Sukhwinder Singh. Burgess says speed may have played a role in the crash. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Stellantis is laying off 700 more employees at two of their locations in Kokomo. The company blames the UAW strike and has now laid off over 1,300 employees temporarily across 3 states. Imagine getting a phone call that a loved one has died, only to find out a few days later they're actually alive. Kurt Darling has the story.
That happened to Natalie Markham in Anderson. Police there pulled a body from the White River Sunday, a driver's license with it appeared to show that it was her son Kevin, who lives on the streets.
So they come and they show me his driver's license, and then they show me a picture of him in a body bag.
But a few days later, when police told Kevin's girlfriend, a man with her said, "I'm not dead." Turns out Kevin is alive. Markham tells Wish TV this whole mix-up could have been avoided had she been able to see the body in person, since Kevin has unique tattoos. Kurt Darling, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A cold front is headed this way, but you won't notice until this evening.
So we are expecting highs again in the mid and upper 70s today. Probably be a little bit more wind today than there was Thursday.
You'll have lower temperatures this weekend with fall-like conditions, says forecaster Mike Ryan. Traffic and weather in 1 minute. Your time is 3:04.
Basements get a bad rap. Probably because so many of them are wet, leaky, and musty. Thanks to screenwriters, crawl spaces aren't very popular either. Michaelis is putting an end to the horror show. Their time-tested waterproofing systems eliminate and prevent water issues. Damp and moldy becomes clean and healthy. And their French drains, vapor barriers, and encapsulation techniques turn crawl spaces into a Disney set. Yeah, okay, that probably went a bit far. But with over 35 years experience, they have a lot of homeowners enjoying their basements again. Think Michaelis. And think how nice it would be to get rid of foundation cracks, basement leaks, damp smells, and all the nightmares that come with them. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
With traffic in the 5s at 3:05. Good afternoon, Matt Bear.
Good afternoon, Harrison. Looking at westbound 465, disabled vehicle reported after 69 with the right lane. Inbound 65 stop 29th at 2 Meridian Penn. Northbound 465 stop and go. Rockville Road up to 21st because of construction that should be over on Monday. In Lawrence, eastbound 465 stop and go traffic. Allisonville Road to East 56. Again, a construction zone that should be over before morning rush Monday. Traffic sponsored by Boost Infinite. Hey, thinking of getting the latest iPhone? Then check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial pound 250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto dial text message from this station's network. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Partly cloudy skies this afternoon. It's going to be warm with highs near 80. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely with lows near 59. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Tara Hastings for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock it! It is Beer Sample Friday. For some people, it's Friday the 13th. For others, it's the global day of jihad, the day of rage. But around here, from 3 to 7 on Fridays, nothing's going to change. It's Beer Sample Friday. It's the Hammer and Nigel show. I'm Jason Hammer. Guy Relford in for Big Nige today. Happy day of rage, Guy.
Well, no, absolutely. But you know what? We combine National Day of Jihad here in Indiana with Beer Sample Friday, you get National Day of Yeehaw.
That's right. It's a National Day of Yeehaw today on the Hammer and Nigel show. We'll get into the latest with what's going on in regards to the war in Israel. But first, we've got some news, man. We knew it was coming. We don't like it. Stellantis has announced 700 employees will be temporarily laid off at the Kokomo transmission and casting plant effective October 13th. Of course, this is in regards to the strike that the UAW is doing against the big three automakers.
Yeah, and you know what? You got to look at this as a two-edged sword, you would think, for the UAW, because here, these people are getting laid off to the extent their UAW members are turning around looking around saying, hold on, is this really in my long-term best interest? And they may say yes. And as part of the union, you get some strike protection as well, right, in terms of your income. So, I won't try to speak for any of those people, but you just got to believe that there's a long-term solution in the works here sooner than later. But man, it's sure been dragging on for a while.
And it's fallen out of the news cycle, too. Yeah. And we talked about this yesterday. I think this is an important thing because when you are trying to showcase, like if you're the UAW and you feel like you're being wronged, you want to showcase to the world that the big, bad, evil automakers, they're screwing you. But right now, with what's going on in Israel, the House situation with the Republicans, the inflation report that came out, this story has kind of fallen off the news cycle, but you still knew stories like this were coming.
Well, it has fallen off. And at the same time, I'm wondering, since this thing started, Jason, the number one question I've had is did the UAW do itself a disservice by coming out with the demands they made initially? In other words, the first thing I heard was a 40% pay increase. And listen, don't quote me on these numbers, but I recall that and thinking, wow, when's the last time anybody got a 40% pay raise in this country, especially with the economy doing what it's doing?
Right.
Which people say, well, the economy's, in the dirt, in the dumpster, so I need more money. Granted, but that means also that businesses can be struggling just as well. But when they came out with the percentage increases they were demanding, as well as all the demands on pensions and long-term protections and insurance, it was a huge package. And yeah, hey, start high and negotiate.
Right. I'm not mad at him for asking.
I'm not mad at him for asking, but when you start there, I don't know. I think that takes a little of the momentum away from your side on that. But that's just my individual observation.
So Hamas has called for protests and in some cases violence worldwide targeting Israelis and Jews today. It's been dubbed the Day of Rage or the Global Day of Jihad. This is after the former Hamas leader called for all of this to happen in support of the Palestinians. In a video that was put out on YouTube, quote, "We must head to the squares and streets of the Arab and Islamic world on Friday. To all scholars who teach jihad, to all who teach and learn, this is a moment for the application." Again, I can't stress this enough. That was on YouTube.
Yeah.
During COVID, doctors were kicked off because they had questions about what we were being told, about the vaccines, about the efficacy of masks. Doctors in America who were just having a debate were kicked off, but you've got the former leader of Hamas creating the Day of Rage on YouTube.
Donald Trump was kicked off Twitter because they didn't like his response on January 6th, that he somehow was promoting violence. When you call for a national day of jihad and a day of rage across an entire, not just a country, across the entire world is what they're asking for, how do you justify that?
In New York right now, Times Square is packed. There's a lot of pro-Palestinian protesters. The New York Police Department, they've got all of their officers working today. Nobody was allowed to take a vacation or time off. It was all systems go. Yesterday here on Monument Circle, we had not only the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, BLM folks, but we had a surprising turnout from the pro-Israel people as well. I didn't see that coming.
No, and the thought I had, Jason, as I was driving downtown, because I wasn't sure what to expect. I didn't know if we'd see protests again today, being the National Day of Jihad and Day of Rage. But one of the things I couldn't help thinking about was if you're an IMPD officer and you see this National Day of Rage, Day of Jihad, and you're thinking, man, I don't know if there's going to be protests down here. Where does your mind immediately go? It goes right back to the summer of love, right? As you guys always call it in 2020, when the IMPD officers that tried to do their job and stop violent protesters and rioters and people who were destroying businesses, some of those officers actually got prosecuted. And as opposed to any of the damn protesters. And I put myself right in the shoes of the IMPD officers saying, man, they've got to be dreading, just that, God forbid, any kind of violence or whatever breaks out, I should say, in downtown Indy, because are they going to be allowed to do their job? And then are they going to, in fact, be thrown under the bus simply because they try to step in and protect the city? That's where we are in this city right now.
And I will say this, and I was talking to some people in the hallway about this yesterday, because Tony Kennett and I walked down there. We were street level. We were getting video, doing all the things. The police did an amazing job yesterday. Awesome. The IMPD and the Indiana State Police both did phenomenal jobs. They let everybody have their shouting contests, and everything was pretty peaceful, like it really was yesterday. And the thing that bothers me the most is if you go back to that summer of love guy, back when the riots were happening, there's no doubt in my mind, if the police were given the thumbs up to actually do their jobs, they would not have allowed a lot of the damage and destruction in the city of Indianapolis.
I absolutely agree with that. And I was down here, early on that day, not after things started getting really odd later in the day, but I was down to do my show from 5 to 7 and on that Saturday. And when things really got violent, it wasn't until 10, 11, midnight or so that night. But as I was watching it out of the window, and I actually reported on my show, I said, you know what? I'm okay with all this. This is what the First Amendment is all about. There were people on the circle, and they were having their protest. They were making their voices heard. And I'm like, all right, I may not agree with their voice. At the same time, this is what our constitutional guarantee of the right to free speech is all about. So God bless them. Protest, make your voice heard. And then right at the end of my show, it was right up about 7 o'clock, I looked out the window and I saw some graffiti on Monument Circle. First time all day. And I went, uh-oh. Is this going to go in a bad direction? And then even by the time I got to my car and started pulling out of the garage, you started seeing more and more people congregate. You saw people carrying big, heavy backpacks.
Right.
And I'm going, oh, gosh, these backpacks full of rocks like we're seeing in other cities and whatnot. And lo and behold, man, it got real odd later on.
Well, the police yesterday put a stop to that kind of stuff. There was somebody that came up with like a suitcase. I think Tony Kennett got some video of it. And the police were like, no. You are not bringing this unknown suitcase into this situation.
See, I mean, that's a lesson learned right there. But to the extent that the police were allowed to do their job, that's what's so heartening to me to hear you say that, because I wasn't down here yesterday, because that's what look, we got a great police force in IMPD. The rank and file, you and I always say the same thing. We're behind them 1,000%. It's just a matter of allowing them to do their jobs.
And if you think about it, the world's largest one-day sporting event happens in Indianapolis every year.
Absolutely.
And every year, 300,000 people go in, 300,000 go home. I get it's not an angry crowd, but there's never very many situations. The police handle that like bosses, and it's really not even all hands on deck.
Yeah, well, and don't minimize the angry crowd. I mean, I grew up when Andretti fans always always left angry, right?
That's true.
Because you always waited every year and Mario's slowing down. And
Right.
that was an annual event.
There were some people that left a little angry. I stand corrected. All right, Matt Bear, what's going on?
Inbound 65 stop and go traffic from 29th to Meridian Penn. Then on the west side, a construction zone is slowing down northbound 465 from Rockville Road up to West 21st. About a 10-minute delay right now. Once you're through, and that work should be done Monday morning before rush hour. Same with Lawrence, eastbound 465 still stop and go. Allisonville Road down to East 56 because of construction. Traffic sponsored by Grand Appliance. Shop the 93rd anniversary sale of Grand Appliance for unbeatable prices on top brands like Whirlpool, Electrolux, LG, Samsung, and more. Visit grandappliance.com for complete details. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Hey, Matt Bear.
Yo.
Bring your weightlifting ass in here and do a break with us.
I can't wait, man.
All right. Man, I'm telling you, when Matt Bear gets in this studio, I don't consider myself a weak guy. I think I'm pretty strong, but between Guy Relford and Matt Bear in here, I'm going to feel like Clay Aiken here in just a moment. Good Lord. We are streaming on YouTube. Find the Hammer and Nigel show at the WIBC in-studio camera feed on YouTube. Get in the chat. You can also hang out with us on Twitter. Look for Hammer and Nigel, Facebook and Twitter. And you can follow Guy Relford on Twitter. What's the handle?
At Guy Relford.
74 at the American Standard Cooling Weather Center. This is the Hammer and Nigel show.
I'm a longtime Window Nation customer. I have neighbors that saw my Window Nation windows installed. They got jealous. They're now customers. And now my mom got a great deal from Window Nation on a kitchen full of windows. There's so much to love about this deal. 2 free windows for every 2 that you buy. Plus, put no money down, make no payments, and pay no interest for 2 years exclusively with our friends at Window Nation.
This is the deal. If you don't take advantage of this deal, let's be honest, there's something wrong with you or you hate saving money. Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. And there's no limit. The more you buy, the more free ones you get. Plus, 0 money down, 0 payments, 0 interest for 2 years. That's all part of the same deal. 866-90-NATION. At least start the conversation. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com, but you have to tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Hi, my name is Deb Whitfield, and I currently serve as a member of the Lawrence Common Council. I'm here to tell you a little bit about my friend, Maggie A. Lewis. Since being elected, Leader Lewis has introduced laws that are improving the quality of life for my family and yours. From adding more police officers to protect our families, prioritizing road improvements and infrastructure, to preparing our children for long-term success, Leader Lewis has been making a difference in our community. That's why on Election Day, November 7th, make sure you re-elect Majority Leader Maggie A. Lewis to the Indianapolis City County Council. We need leaders who can get the job done, and Maggie has a proven track record. She is a leader who is prepared, experienced, dedicated, and a friend in our community.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
This is Dwight Freeney, and I've teamed up with Indiana Donor Network and Donate Life Indiana to get the word out about how you can save lives in your community. Did you know that more than half of the people waiting for a life-saving organ transplant are people of color? That's why I said yes to being an organ donor, because I want to help end the wait. You can help too. Sign up to be an organ donor next time you're at the BMV and talk to your family about your decision.
Andrea Bocelli in concert, presented by Stiefel. Saturday, April 13th, 8 p.m., Gainbridge Fieldhouse, with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, conducted by Stephen Mercurio. The world's most romantic voice, Andrea Bocelli in concert. On sale now at Gainbridge Fieldhouse box office.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
24/7 ER care for kids. 24/7 peace of mind for you. Riley Children's Health emergency doctors and nurses are in the ER around the clock at IU Health North in Carmel. Learn more at rileychildrens.org/ER.
This hour powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits dealer.
Can you tell me what day it is?
Today is Friday.
Friday the 13th. Ready for that?
Friday the 13th?
Friday the 13th.
It's Friday the 13th.
Superstitious.
She's really superstitious.
Me superstitious? You must be kidding.
There's no point in being superstitious.
Yes, there is. You are the unluckiest person in the world.
This show is the unluckiest show on the radio.
It's showtime.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Oh, man. What could possibly go wrong when the National Day of Jihad and Friday the 13th come together? And then when 5 o'clock hit, rush hour, like it's cats and dogs living together, Matt Bear.
Mass hysteria. As Bill Murray said in the movie, or the perfect storm, maybe, when those 3 storms hit at once. It's great to be here. Rush hour has started. We have work projects everywhere. The 2 that I'm thinking about are on the west side and one in Lawrence. You have the northbound on the west side and the southbound in Lawrence right now. And those are supposed to be done Monday morning, before Monday morning rush hour, which is a big win for us traffic people. You know, it's like the sports guys when the Colts win.
Right.
This is a traffic thing. You know, this big win for us.
The numbers go up.
Yeah, the numbers are going up. We had a must win for Monday morning, and we got it. So it was perfect.
Somebody in the YouTube chat, Bill, says, please ask Matt what's up with the what looks like new stoplights going up on the ramps from Emerson to 465 on the south side. Are you familiar with any of that?
Yes, would be an I-69 project, Emerson to 465, as they rebuild the interchange. You know, this interstate they've been building since '83. It feels like I-69 going up from Martinsville back to Evansville to Indianapolis. I mean, all of this on the south side, these westbound, eastbound lanes, this construction and the stoplights is all part of the rebuild of I-69. So this work goes on until the end of next year, and we're going to keep seeing things like this, ramps opening, ramps closing. We do get a ramp reopened. It's on the northeast side. That's kind of cool. It's 82nd and northbound. That's been closed all year, and that's supposed to be back at the end of the month. So it's construction is such a aggravating thing if you're driving it, and of course it is, because you get one back and then you lose one. And then you lose one, and then you get one back, and that's how this kind of goes. And Guy and I were talking about before the show. You know, there are ways around it to go on the city streets, but as you take away those ways, you get them back on the interstates, and those go away for another construction project.
Right.
And it's like Inception, the movie. You know, I mean, the little top spinning at the end. You want the top to fall over and it all be over, but the top never falls.
You know,
It's always
Matt,
spinning.
I got something positive to say about traffic. For the first time, I had a hearing down in Vanderburg Superior Court on Tuesday, and so I went all the way down. I got on 465, got on 69, and went, and it's a little bit still, little construction between here and Martinsville, but I got to tell you, the vast majority of that, it's open. It's irritating as hell. You got to slow down to 55 going through Bloomington. The communists in Bloomington are just trying to rake us over the coals for some traffic tickets. But for the most part, that's a really enjoyable drive now. I got to really commend the highway department in Indiana for really cranking that thing out, and it's a nice drive now. And having a little bit faster car with a radar detector, I made all kinds of time going down there.
So you're the speed guy. You're not the gun guy. You're the speed guy. That's who you are.
I have been known to do a little bit of that. Yes, that's true.
The speed gun guy. You know, the gun hits him with the Indiana State Police. The speed
And
gun.
Matt, by the way, great job yesterday. We had a lot of crazy things happening out on the circle. You know, Tony Kennett and I walked out there. We were covering it from a news talk show host standpoint. But it was also affecting traffic because some of these folks were starting to make their way around various parts of downtown Indianapolis, not just isolated on the circle. They started to march in other areas, and you had the traffic, and you knocked it out at the park.
Oh, thank you. And that means a lot to me. And somebody said that online, too, and it really, I'm never, that means thank you. What happens, yesterday was a crazy day, and I say that with a grain of salt because we're talking about traffic compared to what else is going on here. And,
but we've seen this stuff before.
Yeah, we've seen this stuff before. And the thing about the circle was I didn't start talking about it till about 6:15 when a lot of people were out walking around the circle, and that was because you have to choose. You have a 66-minute delay on the south side. Another one that's going 47 minutes on the west side. What do you get to? And eventually it became a safety issue with people walking around Miles Square, with people walking around Monument Circle. And that's when you start to address it, and that's when you start to report it, even though I know it was tough because it's the big thing you need to talk about.
Right.
But at the same time, my job is to go to the south side and talk about the 66-minute delay. But when safety became a concern, as it is walking around downtown, that's when you start talking about it. That's when we brought it in. But
and you did a great job.
Thank you. Great
and
tips.
Matt, how do you get all that information that quickly? I mean, it's NDOT, IMPD? I mean, you've got all these different resources. Are they all coming to you in real time? How does that even work? Because it amazes me that you're so fast at getting information out.
The best source I have are the people who tweet me at WIBC Traffic.
Really?
Traffic, yeah. Those are the people that we talk with every day. They talk to me. They talk to me. I'm blessed. And
do they send you nudes?
They send me nudes. I send them nudes. Sometimes we send half nudes on a Thursday night. We have a schedule set up for that. But it's the people that talk to me, that talk back, are the ones that make this thing really go. And we have scanners.
No kidding.
Yeah, we have scanners, and and I call the dispatches with NDOT and Metro Dispatch, NDOT Dispatch. These are really cool people. I mean, they're just like us, just grinding it out on a day-to-day basis, working 10, 12 hours a day and just trying to make it work. And you get so much more if you're nice.
Oh,
you treat them like human beings, and you just don't be, hey, listen, this is Eastbound. I'm Matt Bear from WIB. And just go into the reporter thing. It's like, hey, man, this is.
Well, this is why you're the best at the business.
Well,
you are the traffic goat. You are the greatest of all time.
No doubt about it.
I just, if you love people, if you really love people, it comes off, and that's what happens.
All right, we got 30 seconds here before we got to hit a break. I've got two Colt fans, big time Colt fans in the studio.
Yep.
Guy Relford, Matt Bear, Colts and Jags. Give me a score this weekend, Matt Bear.
Okay, I'm going to go Colts 27-23.
Colts win.
Colts win, yeah.
Guy Relford.
I already went public on this. Very close. I said 27-24, and we're going to win it on about a 53-yard field goal.
Guy Relford's my man.
There it is. Where can people find you, Matt?
You can find me at Mountain Traffic. Lots happening there. Always a lot of chatter. And as always, thanks for having me on, fellas. And Allison, love you guys very much.
You're the best. That's Matt Bear. This is the Hammer and Nigel Show.
If there is blame to go around, it will begin and it will end right here.
That's Joe Hogsett laying out his crime plan back in 2017.
I am responsible.
The results? Over 800 police have left the force, most since the protests when Joe was absent.
I am responsible.
Murders are up 52%, and the odds of getting away with it are better than a coin flip. Only 35% of cases were solved last year.
I am responsible.
Mental health is underfunded. Homelessness on the rise. And now, Indy ranks 4th in lethal overdoses.
I am responsible.
It's just not working.
I am responsible because I happen to be the mayor.
So I ask you, isn't it time for a change?
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
Hey, this is Malia. We often get asked when is the best time to buy, and the answer is today, not tomorrow. With rising utility costs, rising product costs, and missed opportunity costs, which you could be saving with a high-efficiency system. Give us a call today to schedule your free in-depth estimate, 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Colorectal cancer rates are on the rise, especially in younger adults. The good news? It's one of the few cancers that can be prevented through screening. So we're keeping up, making some changes, and saving lives. Franciscan Health now offers colonoscopy screenings for adults aged 45 and up. no doctor referral needed. And they're covered at 100% by most insurance plans. Are you 45? Screen sooner. Schedule your colonoscopy at franciscanhealth.org/colon-care.
Citizens Energy Group invites you to Community Resource Day, giving Central Indiana's organizations a chance to connect you to the important wellness, financial assistance, and safety resources for the coming colder months. With Spanish, Burmese, Chin, and Creole translators available on site thanks to Luna. Join them from 9 a.m. to noon for free food and fun activities, including a visit from Colts mascot Blue and the Cheer Squad. Community Resource Day at 2020 North Meridian on Saturday, October 21st. Learn more at citizensenergygroup.com/CRD.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Pence wants you to support Israel. Sunny and 76 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. Nothing on the radar. Maybe some rain tonight with low temps dropping into the 50s. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 3:31. Every American should come together in support of Israel, says your former governor and vice president Mike Pence.
I think it's important that leaders across the political spectrum speak with one voice. That America stands with Israel.
He's in New Hampshire, filing to run for the White House. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the U.S. is doing everything it can to bring American hostages back home.
We're going to do everything we can, and I'm going to urge everyone in the American government to bring back the hostages, particularly our American hostages.
At least 27 Americans have been killed during the conflict, with some still unaccounted for. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan says he's very confident he'll be the next House Speaker.
I think I can unite the conference. I think I can go tell the country what we're doing and why it matters to them, and we'll talk about that.
Former President Donald Trump has endorsed Jordan. Majority Leader Steve Scalise was nominated in a closed-door vote earlier this week, but how those votes are tallied on the House floor is what matters. He didn't have enough. Stellantis is laying off 700 employees at two of their locations in Kokomo. The company blames the UAW strike and has now laid off over 1,300 employees temporarily across 3 states. Since August, we've been getting more chances for rain.
I'm Ryan Hedrick. There's just one problem with that.
We're just not seeing a lot of rain. Or at least not enough to really help the drought conditions.
Mike Ryan of the National Weather Service says much of Indiana is still in a moderate drought, the likes of which we haven't seen for a while around here. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The average price you're paying for a gallon of gas in Indiana today, $3.36 per gallon of regular. That's according to GasBuddy.com. It's also below the national average, which is at $3.59. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 3:33.
Paid for by PolicyPaul.com.
Hello, this is Policy Paul, here to answer your life insurance questions.
Policy Paul, I'm so glad I got you. Listen, I'm due any day now, and I've been pestering my husband to get us a life insurance policy to make sure our new family is protected.
That's smart.
I think so, but he says life insurance is too expensive, a hassle to get, and we don't need it yet. Can you help me?
Yes, of course. This is a very common situation. The thing your husband needs to understand is life insurance can actually be very affordable. Plus, really fast and easy to get. You could get up to $500,000 in coverage for less than $1 a day.
Really?
Yeah, plus same-day coverage and no medical exam.
I'm so glad I called you, Policy Paul. I knew you would be able to help.
Don't let your loved ones and their future go unprotected. Get up to $500,000 in coverage for less than $1 a day. Just call 800-704-4019 to get started today. That's 800-704-4019. Call 800-704-4019. Don't wait. Call 800-704-4019. 800-704-4019.
With traffic at 3:34, here's Matt Baer.
All right, Harrison, eastbound to 465 work zone, keeping us stop and go after Keystone Avenue down to East 56th Street, and that work should be done on Monday. Looking at the west side, northbound 465 stop and go traffic already. It's a Friday. Rockville Road up to 21st. That is a work zone that should be done Monday. Now, we're coming in on eastbound as 70. We are stopped all of a sudden at, it's going to be at the river right before West Street back to Tibbs Avenue. Southbound 65 now jammed up from 29th to Meridian Penn. Traffic sponsored by B Window. Design it before you buy it with B Window. Now for a limited time, get up to 50% off all products, 2.99% financing, and a $550 installation credit. Trust your home to B. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Partly cloudy skies this afternoon. It's going to be warm with highs near 80. Tonight, showers and thunderstorms likely with lows near 59. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Tara Hastings for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
I'm counting down, so turn around. 5, 4, 3, 2.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show. It's Hammer and Friends, really. I mean, it's become that, right? Guy Relford's filling in for Big Nige today. And let's go to the hotline right now and bring on our friend Tommy Piggott. He is the RNC Rapid Response Director. Tommy, let's get right into it here. The war in Israel, we all see it. We've seen a lot of the horrific photos that are making their way around social media. How do you think the Biden administration is handling what's going on?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to say as often and loudly as possible that we stand with Israel, that we condemn these atrocities that Hamas is committing, that we need to call out those that back Hamas, such as Iran. And I think it's on that final point where especially the Biden administration has failed to really respond to this appropriately. They have failed to call out Iran. They have failed to call out the largest state sponsor of terror. It's pretty clear from any sort of good faith analysis of this that Iran is responsible for these attacks in the sense that Hamas would not be Hamas without their backing. And so we need to take action to make sure that Iran cannot keep funding these terrorist activities, cannot keep attacking our allies. And it starts with that $6 billion that Biden unfroze last month. And so far, they have refused to take concrete action to make sure Iran can't keep funding terrorism.
Right. Concrete action is the key word here, because we heard that they were going to freeze that. But until I see the action, the actual freezing of it is just lip service, right?
Exactly. Well, first of all, when I saw that, it was reported as quietly agreed to freeze that money. Why quietly? Why not make a loud statement? Why not say loudly as possible that this is unacceptable, that Iran is acting like this? Iran, the largest state sponsor of terror, unacceptable. We're going to take action to keep that money flowing to Iran. Why can't they take action to stop that money loudly and clearly? And then on top of that, it was reported today that, so right now the funds are in a Qatari bank based off of my understanding, and it was reported by Qatari officials that there was no agreement to freeze the money. So the Biden administration's whole argument against taking that concrete action is that they can refreeze the money at any time. And then the obvious question is, well, if that's true, why don't they? And it's not just the $6 billion that they're refusing to refreeze publicly and clearly. It's also the fact that they are failing to enforce oil sanctions against Iran, which has allowed Iran to accrue billions of dollars in order to keep on funding Hamas and other terrorists. And I don't think we should lose sight of the true barbarity of Hamas, the true evil of Hamas, and the fact that Biden's really not willing to go after those that back Hamas shows that he's not acting appropriately in terms of supporting Israel and really taking action against terrorism.
Well, Tommy, to your last point, and this is Guy, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there really are two central messages here I think that we should be hearing loud and clear from the RNC, and that is that exactly as you just spelled out, the Biden administration response to the Hamas atrocities is underwhelming at best, but secondly is that without the perception of an incredibly weak leader in the U.S. White House today, it's very likely that we would have never seen these atrocities to begin with. And I absolutely believe that, and I think that's a key message that we also have to be focused on.
Well, I think to that point, one of Joe Biden's legacy, if not the defining legacy of this administration, is going to be chaos on the world stage.
That's exactly right.
Under Joe Biden, we saw Afghanistan fall to the Taliban. We saw Russia invade Ukraine. We see China on the march, emboldened, menacing Taiwan. We see Hamas launching attacks on Israel. We see Iran openly saying they're going to use money that it was unfrozen by this administration to fund more terrorism, openly saying that, and Biden is doing nothing. The chaos that we're seeing, the weakness that we are seeing from this administration is emboldening our enemies, making us less safe, and it's also connected to energy production in the border. We have an administration that won't even defend our border, won't even take action against cartels that are menacing Americans every day, while at the same time refuses to unleash American energy, so we have another bargaining chip when it comes to we don't need to rely on energy sources from our adversaries. We don't have another bargaining chip to say we're going to make sure that Iran can't profit off of oil. If we unleashed American energy, we'd be in such a stronger position. And Biden is so indebted or so dedicated to the far left. He's refusing to do that, and it's really endangering the American people by not unleashing American energy.
Tommy Pickett is our guest. He's the RNC Rapid Response Director. You can see some of his work on the Twitter handle at RNC Research. So, Tommy, I'm going to play a soundbite for you here in just a moment. I want to get your reaction. And what we're seeing right now from a lot of the liberal national media, which, if we're being honest, is the majority of national media. I would say probably 80 to 90% lean very left. We've seen MSNBC go out of their way to not call this a terrorist attack. But Nikki Haley, former UN secretary and running for president, she spoke about what we're about to see from not only the attack from the Israelis, the counterattack, the ground attack, and how brutal it's going to be, but the way that the American liberal media is going to cover it. I'm going to play you this soundbite, and I want to get your reaction afterwards.
We have to completely eliminate Hamas. But what I want the American people to remember is we've seen the images, and as horrific as they are, and as heartbreaking as all of this is, we are saying right now, eliminate Hamas. I can tell you because it happened all the time at the UN. When they start that ground game, when Israel starts to move in to eliminate Hamas further, you're going to have all these other countries and you're going to have Americans say, you need to show constraint. You need to be able to pull back. No, they need to eliminate Hamas. We are supporting Israel now because they've been hit. But the more important part is we have to support them when they hit back as well. Don't tell them to stop. They saw too much death. They saw too much destruction, and Hamas will do it again. We have to eliminate them regardless of how they try and intimidate us. And we have to remember the reason we have Israel's back is because it's not that that Israel needs America. America needs Israel. They're the front line of defense to this jihad terrorism. And that the next thing they want is America. And we should never be so arrogant to think that we don't need friends.
And Tommy, I'm glad Nikki Haley got out in front of that because it's coming, because the Israelis are not here to play around. And once they officially go all in, this thing is going to get really bad really fast. And I think we all know what's going to happen with a lot of left-leaning media.
I think she's exactly right. And in fact, as you mentioned, we're already seeing that in left-wing media. We're seeing that on college campuses. We're seeing really horrific anti-Semitic rallies from the far left on colleges, people that have been elected to local governance, rallies in states across the country, these anti-Semitic protests, if that's even the word for them, already trying to condemn Israel, trying to blame Israel. It's really unacceptable. We're already seeing that. And we're seeing a refusal, again, from Joe Biden and others to really condemn this strongly enough to come out and say it's not acceptable that we have members in the Democratic caucus that are members of the Democrat Socialists of America, a group that is out there putting statements out that are blatantly anti-Semitic, blaming Israel for this, when Israel is the victim, that Israel is defending themselves. It's so unacceptable that we're already seeing that from the left. It's only going to intensify. I think she's exactly right, Nikki Haley is, to point that out, to say that we need to have Israel's back. And I think it's also important to remember that this is not the first time that Hamas has even attacked Israel. We're talking about a history of barbarism from Hamas, and it's time and it's appropriate for Israel to defend itself. They have every right to defend themselves and protect their citizens and civilians.
Tommy, additional question from me, and that is that, here we're realizing that there's this National Day of Jihad, National Day of Rage, it's been called by Hamas. And, by the grace of God, I haven't seen anything horrific happen in the U.S., and I hope that continues. At the same time, do you think the level of anxiety that Americans feel on a day like this, when that's been called for, essentially a call for violence here and elsewhere in the world, would we have the same level of anxiety if we hadn't had completely open borders for the last 2 years? Because I just saw a report that, Border Patrol reports that they've had people from over 100 different nationalities that they've encountered crossing the border into the U.S., the southern border, and including Syrians and many others from countries that we know have large factions that oppose the U.S. and have threatened violence against the U.S. It seems to me the immigration policy factors right in to this entire discussion as well.
I think it does, and it goes to the point of how the left has not been telling the truth about the national security threat that is posed at the border. I mean, There's, of course, a humanitarian disaster, but the national security element of this should not and must not be lost. We're talking about millions of people that are crossing the border, millions of people that are being released into this country. And as I saw Marco Rubio put it recently, even if a small portion of that number has malintent towards this country, that's still a huge number of people. That is a huge number of people that we're letting into this country. And I think you're exactly right to point out the illegal immigrants from special interest countries, which are countries that have conditions that are either pose national security threat or promote terrorism. We have no ability, according to Border Patrol, to vet those people because we don't have documents to vet against. We can't vet somebody if we have no information on them, and they're being released into this country. And on top of that, that's not even talking about the 1.5 million gotaways who have crossed the border and escaped into the U.S. without being apprehended or encountered. It's just escapes. We have no idea where they are. We have no idea what their intentions are. The only thing we know is that they purposely were trying to avoid being captured, which it would be naive to assume that there was not at least a portion of those people that meant to do Americans harm. So it really is a concern. And I think it also points to this broader concern that we have under Joe Biden's leadership of a president who's weak, a president who's refusing to stand up to our adversaries, a president who's refusing to call on Democrats to enforce the law when it comes to cities across the country, that's refusing to enforce the law at the border. It's creating this condition of uncertainty. And I pray to God that nothing happens. But we need a Republican president. We need Republican policy that say we're going to enforce the law. We're going to secure our border, and we're going to support our allies.
Tommy Pickett, RNC Rapid Response Director. Check out some of his work at RNC Research. Tommy, great stuff. We'll do it again next Friday.
Thanks, Tommy.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Thank you.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Indianapolis. With Mayor Joe Hogsett, we've made real progress. Billions in new construction. Unemployment at a historic low. 700 new police. 1.2 billion in new infrastructure. Hundreds of new streetlights and thousands of college scholarships. Now Joe Hogsett is fighting the state abortion ban and to get guns off the street. But Joe knows the work isn't done. It's why he's hiring even more police, expanding community policing, and investing in programs that help keep kids out of trouble. And Jefferson Shreve, he supports banning abortion. And after getting an A rating from the NRA, Jefferson Shreve has been against any new gun laws. Jefferson Shreve is bringing Trump-style politics to Indianapolis and trashing our city. Re-elect Mayor Joe Hogsett. Steady leadership in times of change.
Paid for by Hogsett for Indianapolis.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808. PA Jewelers in Brownsburg is your place for fine jewelry, custom pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces, vintage pieces, and also your place to sell jewelry. 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms. You have old jewelry from grandma or jewelry you don't wear anymore? Come sell it for top dollar at PA Jewelers. I've sold jewelry there. My wife has. You're going to love the prices. PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms, 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, premierarms.com.
Michaelis presents Password. The word is basement.
Wet. Rain. Leaky. Faucet.
Stinky.
Socks.
Moldy.
Underwear.
No, it's basement. Really moldy underwear.
Well, sometimes.
Ew.
Basement waterproofing and French drains. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Make it Michaelis.
Come on, take your basement back. 844-FIX-INDY.
You can save up to $270 on Cooper truck tires at Tire Discounters. We love trucks.
Hey, sir. Nice truck.
Yeah, that's Herbert.
Ah, you named him.
Oh, yeah.
Has Herbert ever been to Tire Discounters?
Oh, yeah, man. He loves it here.
Herbert's told you he likes Tire Discounters.
Well, not in so many words, but every time we drive by, he turns on the turn signal.
Oh, you're playing with me now.
Yeah, maybe.
Hey, did you hear about the deal we have going on Cooper truck tires?
Up to $270 off.
How'd you know?
Herbert told me.
Somebody that I believe is going to be your next senator from the great state of Indiana, which I love so much, Jim Banks.
This is Donald Trump Jr. with an important message. My father and I have both endorsed Jim Banks for the United States Senate. Jim is a pro-Trump conservative, a fighter, and one of President Trump's strongest warriors against the swamp. Jim served our nation overseas in Afghanistan and will always fight to put America first. He's been a leader on securing our border, standing up to China, and ending wokeism in the military. When President Trump is back in the White House, he's going to need proven warriors fighting for the America First agenda in the U.S. Senate. So please support our good friend Jim Banks. America Leadership PAC is responsible for the content of this message, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.americanleadershippac.org.
Heat and cool places where ductwork won't fit using Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits. You can even wrap them to match your decor.
Find out more at absolutecomfort.org.
Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $149 and a free hallway too, and $50 off air duct cleaning with Zero Res. Schedule online at ZeroResIndy.com.
Join WIBC this Saturday for the Home and Garden Show live from Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan from 9 to 1 at 114th in Allisonville. Ride the Sullivan Express train to Pumpkintown. The Home and Garden Show at Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan and 93 WIBC.
Oh, man, we just got a delivery in the studio from our friends at El Caporal. We're going to talk about that right after we check the roads with Matt Bear.
All right, Hammer crashing the tube. It's coming up northbound 6570 Washington Street. Only the right shoulder blocked right now. Still good enough to slow us down to the south split. Eastbound 70 coming in slow to the south split from Holt. South side, eastbound 465 stop and go traffic 70 over to the White River. Northbound 465 west side stop and go from 40 on up to 21st because of road work should be done Monday. Southbound 65 stop 29th to Meridian Penn and southbound 465 stop and go before Allisonville down to Penn Pike because of road work. Traffic sponsored by B Window. Design it before you buy it with B Window. Now for a limited time, get up to 50% off all products, 2.99% financing, and a $550 installation credit. Trust your home to B. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
Sunshine 74 at the American Standard Heating Weather Center here at 93 WIBC. And man, Guy, look at this spread that we've got in the studio here. We've got a fajita bar, we've got tacos, and Liz is here. Now, Liz, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing the name of your restaurant correctly because I'm a pasty white kid from Beech Grove, Indiana, and I want to make sure I get this right. El Caporal.
You are right.
Oh,
yes.
Man, there we go. Where are you guys located at?
We are in 3970 Georgetown Road in the northwest side of Indy.
Now, you guys just opened up this past year, right?
Correct. On July 4th, actually.
Oh, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. How's business been so far?
Really good. Really good.
Community really embracing what you guys are doing?
Yes. We're getting good response from all the clients, new guests coming in every day. And so that's pretty much saying that.
What's the house specialty? Like if somebody comes in and says, what do you recommend? What does Liz recommend?
Caporal steak.
Okay. What is that?
Ribeye steak.
Oh,
now we're talking.
Right? Fruit salad, rice. Yeah. Inside of tortillas, of course.
Now, when you've opened up a restaurant, and again, you've done it within the last year, we always talk about how crazy the economy is right now. Everything seems like it's more expensive than what it was last year, the year before, 5 years ago. How has it been with getting your materials?
We haven't had much trouble. We got good providers, good prices, and good food.
Yes, you do. So what are you looking at here, Guy? Like, you got to dive into something here.
Well, my mouth's watering because I got to tell you, first of all, it smells wonderful, but I'm looking right at fajitas all ready to be assembled and some what look to be soft shell tacos that look rather fabulous as well.
I posted a photo of the spread they brought in here on our Twitter. So if you go to @HammerandNigel right now, you'll be able to see some of the spread here. Take us through a little bit of the menu items. What do you have?
We have authentic Mexican food. We have a little bit of a touch of American also with some fastas.
What does authentic Mexican mean?
Authentic, made from scratch, fresh ingredients, and all freshly baked.
So it didn't arrive on a truck pre-made and then you just heat it up in a microwave. That's what you're telling me.
No, that is true. Yes.
That's awesome. And again, what are your business hours? Like, because I know when I'm in the mood for Mexican food, Sometimes it's a little late. Sometimes I may or may not have had a little tequila in me, and I want to get some Mexican food. How late do you guys stay open?
Well, until 9 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And then we do have special nights, karaoke, Thursdays and Fridays.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we got nice.
Do you sing, Liz?
Sometimes.
That's a yes.
Yeah,
That's a yes.
We have good margaritas, good drinks. So after a few, then yes.
What's your go-to song?
Cannot decide. Just yes.
Because I have a list of karaoke songs. It ranges from Baby Got Back to a very inappropriate version of Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. Those are my go-to songs when I come for karaoke.
Old school, most likely.
Yeah. Right.
And Liz, you may be detecting a common theme here, but is there also a bar in the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I want to just come in and belly up and have a couple of margaritas and eat by myself at the bar, that would work as well.
Yes, and you will love it.
That's one of my all-time favorites.
I see some beverages in the back here. What's in these little cup holders in the back here, Liz?
We brought for you guys agua frescas.
Okay.
Which is rice water, which is horchata, and then we got hibiscus, which is also it's called Jamaican water, and then we brought also pineapple water, which is really good. Okay. My favorite, and then margarita.
Oh, we got a little margarita. Dibs.
Yeah. Now,
Dibs on margarita.
Having been to Jamaica, I've had some Jamaican water that's probably illegal in Indiana.
No, it's not illegal.
All right, last thing before we let you go here, Liz. I'm a guy that likes a little fire in my food. I like some hot sauce. I like hot peppers.
Yeah.
What do you got that can burn me up?
Caporal bites, fuego bites. There are wrapped jalapenos with cheese and bacon.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
You know what fuego means, right?
Yeah.
That's I believe that's Spanish for hot, right? Do I
That's
have that?
fire.
Fire.
Yeah,
That's Ball State
absolutely.
education right there.
You bet.
All right, El Caporal, and this is on the northwest side of Indianapolis in like the Georgetown Road area, right?
Yeah, 38th Lafayette, Georgetown Road. Yeah.
Oh man, this smells so great. Thank you for coming in. Best of luck to you guys.
Thank you
and
guys.
We can't wait to chow down here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
We've created something special here in Carmel. I'm Sue Finkham, and it's here where I built my business and started a family and served as a leader on City Council, helping our community prosper and increasing government transparency. Now, we're America's #1 rated city, but we're just getting started. Lots of people talk about keeping Carmel the best city in America. But me, I'm the only one with the plan and experience to do it. I'm Sue Finkham. It's simple. Prioritize public safety by hiring, training, and equipping our first responders. Introduce responsible budgeting so every cent spent benefits us. And ensure development doesn't endanger our community's one-of-a-kind character.
Sue Finkham, the only candidate with the experience and vision to keep Carmel the best city in America, partnering with police to keep our community safe and ensuring responsible development to help our community thrive.
Together, let's keep Carmel on the path to success.
On November 7th, vote Sue Finkham for mayor.
Paid for by Sue Finkham Victory Committee.
I am an American Standard customer. I use American Standard dealers. I have an American Standard HVAC unit. So the one thing I don't have to worry about this winter is keeping the house warm. If you need American Standard service, Hammer is going to tell you who you need to check out.
Reinhardt Heating and Cooling in Danville. Danny Reinhardt started Reinhardt Heating and Cooling 37 years ago. They're one of the longest tenured American Standard dealers in all of Central Indy. Danny's sons and daughter are among the well-trained experts that are on staff at Reinhardt Heating and Cooling. Reinhardt Heating and Cooling, they're hooking up Hendricks and the surrounding counties. Make sure that furnace is safe and ready to go as the cold weather starts to make its way to Indy. Call Reinhardt in Danville, 745-4526. That's 745-4526. Reinhardt Heating and Cooling in Danville. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Coming up in 2 minutes, Donnie Burgess reports on more layoffs in Kokomo in your weekend forecast. It's happening after Fox News Radio from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You are listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 4 o'clock.
The United States stands with Israel. Elisa Brady, Fox News. President Biden reaffirming that a short time ago, calling Hamas pure evil, but also saying a humanitarian crisis in Gaza must be urgently addressed.
We can't lose sight of the fact that the overwhelming majority of Palestinians had nothing to do with Hamas and Hamas's appalling attacks, and they're suffering as a result as well.
The president speaking earlier today with the families of 14 Americans unaccounted for.
They're going through agony, not knowing what the status of their sons, daughters, husbands, wives, children are. You know, it's gut-wrenching.
He says he offered his personal commitment to do everything possible to return every missing American to their families. The UN chief says even wars have rules, warning that the situation in Gaza has reached a dangerous new low and calling for immediate humanitarian access, while also urging that hostages in Gaza be released. At a mass protest in Times Square, some pro-Palestinian demonstrators don't believe reports of Hamas atrocities in Israel.
We're here to express solidarity with the Palestinian community who's been facing a brutal 75-year occupation of their land by a colonist settler colonial state, which is Israel.
She accuses Israel of genocide. Republican presidential hopeful and former UN ambassador Nikki Haley says Israel is right to want to eliminate Hamas.
I know the threats that face us in the world, and I know what it takes to keep Americans safe. And I think people are ready for a new generational conservative leader. We feel the momentum on the ground in Iowa. We feel it in New Hampshire. We feel it in South Carolina.
Haley at the New Hampshire State House earlier today as candidates continue to file for that state's primaries. On Capitol Hill, awaiting the results of another House Republican conference vote to nominate a new speaker nominee after Steve Scalise dropped out yesterday. Mixed finish on Wall Street. The Dow up 39 points at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
More layoffs, 76 degrees. Mostly sunny at the Circle, all clear on the radar. Rain is possible tonight with a low of 55. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 4:02. Hundreds of people have lost their job in Kokomo. Donnie Burgess reports.
Stellantis has sent 700 workers home effective Friday. That's at Kokomo Transmissions and Kokomo Casting plants, both of which the company says are maxed out on their typical car parts. It's all in response to the United Auto Workers strike. So far, at least 1,300 Stellantis workers have been laid off. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
One man was killed, 2 others hurt in a crash in Johnson County Thursday.
The driver of Vehicle 1, the deceased, is Sequinder Singh, 42 of Indianapolis. He was driving a 2014 black Honda Accord. It appears that he crossed the center line.
Sheriff Dwayne Burgess says one of the drivers may have been speeding on North 5 Points Road, causing the wreck. They're still investigating. IMPD says they've increased patrols at synagogues in Indianapolis today out of caution. It's because of social media rumors spread by Hamas supporters about a day of rage. Someone was found dead inside of a car on the east side, says IMPD. That car was parked on Gladstone Avenue. The body was found just before 9 a.m. near East 15th Street and Sherman Drive. Police say the man had been shot. Anyone with info on what happened should call IMPD. This weekend will feel more like fall. Ryan Hedrick reports.
That's because there's a storm system moving in from the west.
On Saturday, we'll see temperatures in the 60s. It'll feel cooler, especially lower 60s. But then really where those coolest temperatures will be Sunday and Monday.
Forecaster Mike Ryan with the National Weather Service says the system will stall over the area for a few days, creating lower temperatures. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
The average price you're paying for a gallon of gas in Indiana today, $3.36, according to Gas Buddy. That's below the national average of $3.59. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:04.
Don't you love fall in Indy, but you hate to paint? Do what your neighbor Mark did. He called Rhino Shield.
It's a 2-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating, better than paint.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
Here's a never-before offer, Indy. Act now before October 31st and get 25% off the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield.
It was done in 2001. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Remember, Indy, this is a limited-time offer, so act by Halloween to get 25% off the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield. Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Go Rhino! Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
With traffic on the 5s at 4:05, here's Matt Baer.
Yeah, ever since the works zone on the west side, causing northbound 465 to slow after Washington 221st. It's because work zone until Monday morning. Southbound 465 stops before Allisonville Road down to East 56. Again, that's a construction zone until Monday morning. That's when that should be done. Eastbound 70 slow into downtown from Tibbs, and then southbound 65 loaded 29th to Meridian Penn and barely moving. Traffic sponsored by Boost Infinite. Hey, thinking of getting the latest iPhone? Then check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just dial pound 250 on your phone and say Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message from the station's network. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
As we move into our Friday evening, we're looking at steady rain as a cold front moves through the forecast. Showers and even some thunder is possible. Low temperature near 55 degrees. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm Wish TV Storm Strike 8 meteorologist Drew Narsutis for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock it.
Hammer and Nigel show. Guy Relford in for Big Nige. And as we told you yesterday afternoon, we were starting to hear the rumors, the rumblings and grumblings that Steve Scalise didn't have the votes. He won the closed-door secret ballot of the Republicans only competition against Jim Jordan. But when they tried to tally everybody's votes up, he needs to get to 217, did not have the votes. So he was going to withdraw his name. That happened late last night. So it sounded like it was going to be Jim Jordan's and Jim Jordan's alone. But now we're hearing there's going to be somebody else jumping in the mix. An establishment guy from Georgia who's designed to basically just cipher votes away from Jim Jordan. So Guy Relford, here we are, basically in the same situation we were in before, because the establishment Republicans don't want Jim Jordan to have the speakership.
You know what I hate about all of this, Jason, is that look, I get the dissatisfaction with Kevin McCarthy, and I disagree with a lot of what Kevin McCarthy did, and I agree with a lot of the criticisms of Kevin McCarthy. But what I've had a problem with the entire time since the vote to get rid of Kevin McCarthy is the Republicans never had a backup plan. See, they should have gotten their ducks in a row and figured out exactly what they were doing and who the replacement was going to be before they brought the vote to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. Because what they've done now is they've displayed a remarkable lack of leadership, and that I think Democrats can use to their advantage. That, look, how can the Republicans run the country when they can't even run their own party? That's a legitimate criticism right now, which breaks my heart that we're open and susceptible to that criticism. At the same time, you know, the fact that they it's like firing your coach when you have no idea who your next coach is going to be. Yeah, it feels great to fire your coach, but now you got no damn coach and you got to play a football game. And the difference between those analogies is that you can still show up and play the next week, you know, as a team with no coach. The House of Representatives is shut down. They are shut down. They can do no business until they have a House. I think this makes Republicans look dysfunctional, and I'm disgusted with the whole process.
And I'm upset at the establishment wing here because I get it. You might have liked Kevin McCarthy. He might have been your establishment guy. Fine, whatever. But it seemed like everybody liked Jim Jordan. It's the one person I feel like that could kind of bring both sides together.
Absolutely.
And now they're nominating people out of spite just to run against him. And it's going to be interesting now. Matt Gaetz, the representative of Florida, he was kind of the ringleader of this whole thing, the one that was behind booting Kevin McCarthy. Here he is talking a little bit about the speaker drama.
My goal is to get the most conservative Speaker of the House who can win, somebody that's got broad trust across the conference, someone who can get the job done. And, the real reason we had to get rid of Kevin McCarthy was that he wouldn't do a budget. He wouldn't have single subject bills that appropriate to different agencies. He wanted to do everything by continuing resolution and probably omnibus spending bill. So we want to liberate ourselves from that. The swamp of Washington, D.C. is going crazy because they are not in complete and total control right now. And hopefully this gives us a great opportunity to put the interests of our fellow Americans first, above the folks who would really drive our country into more managed American decline.
Now, I've said from the beginning, I'm not mad Kevin McCarthy got booted. No. If you thought you were going to get a surefire, guaranteed upgrade from McCarthy. Because if, and again, it's a big if, but if McCarthy was indeed negotiating with the Dems behind the scenes for more money to Ukraine and hoping that the Republicans don't find out, that's a problem. That was one of the allegations Matt Gaetz put out there. But now we're in this situation where it seems like the McCarthy allies and the establishment folks, they just want to kind of give Matt Gaetz a taste of his own medicine.
Well, I think that's right. And again, just being against the current plan is not having a plan. And that's my problem, is that the whole thing looks disorganized, it looks dysfunctional, and that doesn't help anybody long term. Again, I'm no fan of Kevin McCarthy, and the criticisms of Kevin McCarthy, whether you hear them from Matt Gaetz or elsewhere, I agree with a lot of them, especially on the spending side and the agreement with the Biden White House on an interim budget. I understand that criticism, I agree with it, but have a plan before you destroy the current infrastructure.
So Paul Ryan, now his name kind of rings hollow for a lot of Republicans. This was a guy that was the Speaker of the House. He was the vice presidential nominee for the horrific campaign of John McCain. Paul Ryan, kind of the face of the establishment rhino Republican right now. He's like the mascot. He has got problems with Matt Gaetz.
I think what Matt Gaetz and these 7 nihilists did was a total disgrace. 4% of the conference overturned the will of 96% of the conference to fire a speaker for what? Doing his job. If Matt Gaetz had his way, we would be not only in a dysfunctional Congress right now, but we'd be in a government shutdown. So I think it's disgraceful what these people did.
I mean, with the reputation of Paul Ryan right now, with the way that is, I think that's the best endorsement Matt Gaetz could possibly get. If Paul Ryan's upset about it, you're probably doing something right.
Yeah.
Now,
if your criticism is against rhinos and you hear that, you're feeling okay.
You knew Matt Gaetz wasn't just going to take that. He's a guy that likes to punch back. Here's Matt Gaetz responding to Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan actually threw me off the budget committee when he was speaker because I had the audacity to want a budget that balanced. I was for the Trump tax cuts, but I do not believe that we should have been deficit spending for those tax cuts. I believed in reductions in federal spending to offset those tax cuts. Paul Ryan didn't agree with that, and so he literally threw me off the budget committee for wanting a balanced budget. Paul Ryan also was a failed speaker in a lot of ways and probably has great empathy and great connection to Kevin McCarthy, and that they share that commonality.
So right now, this is what we know. Jim Jordan's name is in the mix to become the speaker, but he's not alone. The establishment wing of the Republicans, they're putting up their own candidate. It's this cat from Georgia, and Austin Scott is his name. And it seems like Austin Scott's only in this to make sure Jim Jordan doesn't get to 217.
Again, not having a plan is not having a plan. I mean, they're trying to destroy what someone else is trying to accomplish is not the same as having your own plan. So great, they prevent Jim Jordan from becoming speaker. What the hell's next? Because if this guy doesn't have enough votes to be speaker either, we're just going to hang in limbo. I think the whole thing makes the Republican Party look completely disorganized and dysfunctional.
So yesterday on our program, we had the superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter, on with us. And the subject was very specific. The Marion County justice system. Okay? Something we've been talking about for a while. Guy, it's something I know you as a lawyer have to deal with repeatedly. And the question was, how can we fix what's happening in Marion County. Because it's not just Republicans, Guy. Yes, there's the Democrat prosecutor and the Democrat mayor, but there are some judges that have been appointed by your Republican governor that have been making just tremendous amount of mistakes. So yesterday, Doug Carter joined us, and he's calling for a way to hold prosecutors and judges accountable the same way that we hold police officers accountable.
Hammer, what I want to do is talk about the perpetual review of law enforcement. We welcome that. We learned a lot after May 20th of 2020. And we owned a lot of that. We owned that. Some of that criticism was righteous. And it caused us to be perpetually reviewed and scrutinized and then reviewed again by people who have no idea what it's like to exhibit or receive tremendous violence. We're at a point now we welcome that. I want the rest of the system to feel the same way. Be as transparent as you expect us to be.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Yeah,
and this goes for judges, this goes for prosecuting attorneys, county prosecutors, the whole nine.
Well, and you know, like I said earlier today, absolute immunity is different than qualified immunity. The prosecutors and judges have absolute immunity. They cannot be held accountable or responsible for the choices that they make. I don't pretend to understand them. I'm not the smartest guy. They're lawyers. I'm not. But there's this perpetual need to be transparent.
Right.
And we accept that. Why don't they?
Your thoughts, Guy?
Well, I mean, prosecutors are elected. And we have a way to hold prosecutors accountable, and that's to vote their asses out if we don't like the job they're doing. Unfortunately, Marion County, the voters, by an overwhelming majority, over 60%, keep reelecting the same prosecutor. So we have accountability for prosecutors in the sense that they're elected. To the extent that there could be like a recall procedure or something for judges, I get that. And I think judges ought to be accountable. At the same time, the idea that we could turn around and sue judges or sue prosecutors, the qualified immunity that is in place, there's a reason for it, and I'm not a fan of that. I have people contact me all the time. You know, if a judge grants bail to somebody and they go out and hurt somebody, then we ought to just turn around and be able to sue the judge. You know what? That's putting a judge in the position of being all-knowing, you know, and some kind of mind reader to know to understand human behavior in the future. And I don't think that's an appropriate process. At the same time, some system like a recall system, where if you get recurrent horrific decisions that results in people getting hurt, you know, having a judge recalled makes some sense to me.
It feels like there's two discussions here. There's the legal stuff and there's the human heart stuff.
Yes.
Because I understand if your loved one has been killed by somebody who has a rap sheet longer than a CVS receipt and they got a sweetheart deal and the judge basically just gave him a slap on the wrist to get out of there, that sucks. And somebody should be held accountable for that. But legally, you make some great points.
Yeah, it gets really problematic. We're just going to turn around and file lawsuits. And even though I'm a lawyer, I'm not litigious in that way. And I don't think that many more lawsuits is going to help anybody at the end of the day.
Matt Bear standing by in the WIBC Traffic Center.
All right, Hammer, looking at eastbound 465 stop before Allisonville Road to East 56th Street. That is because of construction. Northbound 465 loaded up in another construction zone after Washington 221st. Southbound 65 stopping 029 to Meridian Penn. Eastbound 70 slow to downtown from Harding to Meridian, Illinois. And on the south side, pockets of slow. Eastbound 465 Kentucky Avenue to Emerson Avenue. Traffic sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples Stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Right now, we have got 75 at the American Standard Heating Weather Center here at 93 WIBC. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Beer Sample Friday coming up about 5:48. It's a very spooky edition, a Friday the 13th, old school Indiana edition of Beer Sample Friday. I've got my sports betting picks, the Degenerate Special coming up here in about 30 minutes. But coming up next, a fun round of Is This Anything? It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
JMV here for Miss M's Home and Garden. It's the big fall sale at Miss M's Home and Garden and Sundown Gardens this week. 20 to 40% off nursery stock at Miss M's and Sundown Gardens. The nursery still has a large selection of container trees and shrubs. Visit Miss M's and Sundown Gardens to save between 20 and 40% off through the 15th of October. Miss M's Home and Garden on State Road 135 south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville. Sundown Gardens at 186th and Spring Mill Road in Westfield.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Talking on the phone is difficult if you've been exposed to loud noises over time. Combat veterans, factory workers, farmers, gun and motorcycle enthusiasts can have trouble hearing on the telephone. Relay Indiana helps return clarity to your phone conversations. A free service providing telecom accessibility, Relay Indiana allows hard of hearing users to have normal phone conversations through specially trained relay operators. Relay Indiana also provides free loaned equipment to those who qualify. Get the CapTel caption telephone from Relay Indiana. Visit RelayIndiana.com now.
Have you saved enough? Do you have a plan for Social Security and taxes in retirement? Hey, Casey Weed of Howard Bailey Financial, where our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we want to give you our Retire with Purpose Toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you can't outlive. Plus, you'll receive a copy of my book, Job Optional. To get your complimentary toolkit, call or text the keyword INFO 42 to 866-482-9559. That's INFO 42 to 866-482-9559.
Howard Bailey Financial is the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus just delivered for free, by the way, a brand new bed for my son's bedroom. It's the 96th anniversary sale now through Monday. Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. 50% off Lazy Boys and Smith Brothers. Plus 3 years interest-free financing or an extra 10% off for cash. How about a free Yeti cooler or Solo stove with a Tempur-Pedic purchase? It's the 96th anniversary sale. Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Free delivery.
Located in Columbus, family owned and operated since 1927. Thompson Furniture and Mattress. When everybody else is jacking up the prices, charging you more, they still have free delivery and setup if you live within 75 miles of their store in Columbus. Plus, Spencer and the gang there, Big Mike and his son, they all support what we do here at the Hammer and Nigel Show, so take care of these guys. Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hi, it's Bob from Royal Spa. Did you know you can experience the ultimate rejuvenation with our unique hot tubs made right here in Indianapolis? Royal Spa hot tubs are the only hot tubs compatible with Epsom salts. Imagine the tensions melting away as you step into the luxury of a Royal Spa hot tub. And now is a great time to invest in your rejuvenation. We built our inventory back up and now have new models, scratch and dents, and even demos ready for delivery. Experience the difference for yourself. Visit us online at royalspa.com.
Ah, Royal Spa.
This hour powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits dealer.
Hammer and Nigel presents.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Is this anything?
All right, let's rock and roll.
With Big Nige out, we've got the gun guy here, and he is going to play Is This Anything? Guy, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Is this anything? A teacher who's also a stand-up comedian from Kansas lost his job as a teacher when he posted a video joking around about lying to kids and crop dusting them.
Teachers, if a student is annoying you, just remember, you can lie. I teach history. I tell my students the wrong stuff all the time when they annoy me. I tell them that Abraham Lincoln invented the car. That's why it's named after him. I tell them Logan Paul and Jake Paul had a great-grandfather named Paul Revere because they don't even know how names work anymore. And I crop dust them. And then I just let it stew. And then I walk away and I go, oh my God, it stinks over there. And then they have to sit with it. And you know what? They can't fire me because they need me too badly.
But they did fire him. Is this anything?
Yeah, that's something. It's because it's disgusting. I mean, the guy's just telling jokes. You know, he's having fun. There's nothing there that's somehow damaging to kids or somehow inconsistent with him doing his job as a teacher. I think mainly what it was is the school board probably took it as a challenge when he said they can't fire me because they need me too bad. And their immediate childish reaction to that was, oh, yeah? Well, watch this.
Right. Because I promise you, way worse things get said in that school from other teachers. They went out of their way to make a example of this guy, but don't you think they'd give him at least a shorter leash, knowing he's probably just doing this because he is a comedian, like he's saying things for a video because that's what you do?
Exactly. So he's just trying to be funny and was relatively funny. At the same time, look at the abuse that teachers have to take in classrooms all across this country, from students, and they're expected to show up, do their job, and take a lot of incredible abuse from students because too many parents aren't doing their job or expecting the school to do it for them, and to turn around and punish this teacher for that because he's telling jokes, that's just silly, and I hope he gets his job back.
All right, Allison, this one's for you, okay? You are the resident Taylor Swift fan in the room. You're the Swiftie. Taylor Swift's new movie, The Eras Tour, officially hit theaters today. Officially, kind of the key word here, because some theaters jumped the gun and did it yesterday, which ticked off a lot of Taylor Swift fans who paid big bucks for a pre-sale. Is this anything?
No, because you're still seeing the movie, and it's the same ticket price, I believe. You just see it one day later, and, be thankful you get to see it.
So what is this movie? Is it just her concert, or is it like a rock doc of her putting a concert together? What is it?
I believe it's the concert itself. I'm sure there's probably going to include behind-the-scenes stuff. But
no, you went to the concert. It's like 3 to 4 hours long, isn't it?
Yeah, at least I get to sit down for this one.
So is this movie that long? Like, I have no idea.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be.
All I know is it's going to set box office records because everything Taylor touches right now turns to financial gold.
Even Beyonce came to the premiere.
Well, on that note, I have a question for Allison. Allison, are you now more or less likely to watch the NFL because Taylor Swift is dating Travis Kelce. And do you know who Travis Kelce is?
I do now. But no, I still don't. I mean, I saw in concert. I'm good. I don't need to see a flash of her on a screen.
Now, what we're hearing, there's disgruntled Kansas City Chief fans because the secondary ticket market, which is where the scalpers live at now, the Swifties are buying up all the tickets.
That's crazy.
So the die-hard Kansas City Chiefs fan, like Jimmy Cook that walks up in the fan, that his family gets together, they put the jerseys on, they've got the whole deal. Now they're having a harder time getting tickets because the Swifties might get a glimpse of Taylor up in the suite.
Well, what are they expecting her to start belting out in song? I mean, I don't understand the point of that. I don't know.
So long term, do you think this is good or bad for the NFL?
Oh, the NFL loves this.
Oh, sure.
I know they love it.
They love it.
But a lot of fans are rolling their eyes going, come on, I don't care. You're annoying me by doing all of this. Long term, do you think it's good or bad for the NFL?
I still say it's good because us NFL fans, whether you play fantasy football, you're a gambling degenerate, or you're just a die-hard fan of a team, you're going to watch the game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've seen some pretty awful things from the Colts in my life. I've seen 3-win seasons.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a lot of crap. I can deal with Taylor Swift. But if the NFL can get some new eyeballs to their sport and they can see how crazy it is, how fun it is, the dances in the end zone, the big hits, that's what the NFL wants.
Yeah, you know what? If there's a bunch more 14, 15-year-olds walking around with Travis Kelce jerseys on, that's not a bad thing. I'm totally okay with that.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
It's the Hammer and Nigel show.
So I live in an older house made in the early 80s, still has its original garage floor. I'm sure when that house was built in 1981, it looked awesome. But now, modern day, my garage floor was cracked. It was crumbling up. It's dirty. It just wasn't in very good shape. And I spend a lot of time in my garage. I got a TV hanging out there in the summer. I like watching sports out in my garage. But it's an eyesore. That is until my new Galaxy concrete garage floor was installed, and it is out of this world. Galaxy concrete coatings. These guys are awesome. It only took them a day to make my old gross garage floor look like brand new, and it's not epoxy either. It's better than that and 4 times stronger. Check out their website to see pictures and get a quote. GalaxyConcreteCoatings.com or call their office 317-751-9070. That's 751-9070.
Paid for by John Rust for U.S. Senate. Next year, Indiana Republicans will have the choice to pick our next U.S. Senator. But if it's up to Mitch McConnell and the D.C. swamp, we'll have no choice. The Washington elite and political insiders are trying to rig this election for their hand-picked career politician ally, Jim Banks. That's why conservative businessman and Indiana farmer John Rust has stepped up to fight for us. As a lifelong conservative, John believes we need an outsider's voice that's focused on Hoosiers. John Rust is committed to fighting the woke liberal mob, defending seniors by protecting Social Security, and creating an economy that works for middle-class families, not D.C. insiders. While Jim Banks and Mitch McConnell are focused on keeping power for themselves, John Rust is focused on putting Indiana first. Career politicians like Jim Banks are always talking about solving problems. But we can trust businessmen like John Rust to actually get the job done.
I'm U.S. Senate candidate John Rust, and I approve this message.
Denny Smith for Sundown Gardens. It's the big fall sale at Sundown Gardens and Miss M's Home and Garden this week. 20 to 40% off nursery stock at Sundown Gardens and Miss M's. The nursery still has a large selection of container trees and shrubs. Also happening now, 20% off all mums, pumpkins, and outside fall decor at Sundown Gardens in Westfield. Fall sales now on at Sundown Gardens. 20 to 40% off all nursery selection and 20% off all fall annuals, mums, pumpkins, and more. SundownGardens.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He's supporting Israel. 76 degrees, a few clouds over the circle. Your radar's clear. There's a possibility for some rain tonight with a low of 55. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 4:33. Every American should come together in support of Israel, says your former governor and vice president Mike Pence.
I think it's important that leaders across the political spectrum speak with one voice.
that America stands with Israel.
Pence was in New Hampshire today filing the paperwork to run for president. The White House says it's doing everything it can to rescue Americans being held hostage by Hamas.
Since Saturday, the White House has gone to great lengths to show how many resources it's willing to deploy to the region, including sending both the Secretaries of Defense and State out there. We've also seen those evacuation flights get underway to get Americans out of Israel because the commercial flights have been disrupted.
Fox's Mark Meredith, at least 27 Americans have been killed in the conflict, with 14 still unaccounted for. Israel's air defense system is knocking out rockets as the conflict in Gaza continues. Fox's Greg Palcott is in Israel.
We heard and saw an Iron Dome interception of a Hamas militant rocket appeared to come over the Ashdod. We are hearing explosions here. We're seeing Iron Dome intercepts going up in the sky. We're about 20 miles up the coast from Gaza.
Nearly 1,800 people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. Stellantis is laying off 700 employees at two of their locations in Kokomo. The company is blaming the UAW strike and has now laid off over 1,300 employees temporarily across 3 states. The sun may be in hiding this weekend.
At least a chance for scattered light rain showers. It's going to be breezy. Definitely will feel fall-like it did earlier this week.
Meteorologist Mike Ryan with the National Weather Service. Highs will only reach the 50s early next week. And your stock report, the Dow finished up by 39 points to 33,670. The Nasdaq down by 166 to 13,407. The S&P 500 also down by 21 to 4,327. You're 1 minute away from traffic and weather. It's 4:35.
Hi, my name is Deb Whitfield, and I currently serve as a member of the Lawrence Common Council. I'm here to tell you a little bit about my friend, Maggie A. Lewis. Since being elected, Leader Lewis has introduced laws that are improving the quality of life for my family and yours. From adding more police officers to protect our families, prioritizing road improvements and infrastructure, to preparing our children for long-term success, Leader Lewis has been making a difference in our community. That's why on Election Day, November 7th, make sure you re-elect Majority Leader Maggie A. Lewis to the Indianapolis City County Council. We need leaders who can get the job done, and Maggie has a proven track record. She is a leader who is prepared, experienced, dedicated, and a friend in our community.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
With traffic at 4:36, here's Matt Baer.
All right, Harrison eastbound 465 stopped before Allisonville Road down to East 56 because of the repaving that should be done before Monday morning. Keep in mind that's going to go down to 1 lane in that area in Lawrence until Monday morning at 6 a.m. So we're losing a lane starting tonight for the weekend. On the west side, northbound 465 stop and go from Washington up to 21st because of construction. And pockets of slow on the south side, eastbound 465 from Kentucky Avenue over to Emerson. Traffic sponsored by B Window. Design it before you buy it with B Window. Now for a limited time. Get up to 50% off all products, 2.99% refinancing, and a $550 installation credit. Trust your home to be. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
The forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
As we move into our Friday evening, we're looking at steady rain as a cold front moves through the forecast. Showers and even some thunder is possible. Low temperature near 55 degrees. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm Wish TV Storm Strike 8 meteorologist Drew Narsutis for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
So we've been kind of being smartasses all afternoon because it's the worldwide global day of jihad.
Yep.
And Guy Relford, bless his heart, we've been the ones been doing a global day of yeehaw in here today, having a good time, because we can't let these a-holes scare you, right? We're not saying don't take any threat seriously, but you can't let these a-holes scare you and ruin your life.
That's the most important point right there, Jason. You nailed it. Because you know what? When you are scared, when you do change your life to for the negative, for the worse, what are you? You're terrorized at that point. You have been successfully terrorized by terrorists.
Right.
And that's why so many of us refuse to allow. Now, do you prepare Yeah, did I change the way I came downtown or what I brought with me when I came downtown today? Yeah, a little bit beyond what I usually do. But I will not be terrorized because I refuse to let them win. Because every time that we change our habits, every time we allow our lives to be negatively impacted, we're successfully terrorized, and I refuse to play that game.
Now, I will say this scene that we're seeing in Times Square in New York, this big pro-Palestinian rally, there is a lot of people at this thing.
Yeah.
And there's a chance it could go completely off the rails once the sun goes down.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on what's happening across the globe, but specifically in New York tonight, because it looks like they're getting ready to have a New Year's Eve celebration in Times Square. That's how crowded it is with all of these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist people all together, wishing death to Israel and death to America.
Yeah, and when you have a call from Hamas, which is a global day of jihad, what is that? That's holy war. So what's the likelihood that a handful or even one of these people, set off to do something really horrific, really destructive? You got to believe that's a legitimate threat.
And right now, the Israeli army, they're kind of lining everything up. They're getting their ducks in a row for what could be a massive ground attack. And it sounds like this could be any time tonight through this weekend. They are getting ready to show a lot of force, a lot of might. And Guy, this isn't going to be something where they'll go in and go after specific targets. This is personal to the Israeli army. And there's a lot of young people, a lot of younger listeners, a younger generation that are about to see what war really looks like.
Yeah, this is house to house, building to building, street to street. This is ugly as it gets, and those of us a little older remember Fallujah, right? And a lot of our military that went through that was house to house, street to street. And that gets really, really violent and really up close. And really ugly. And that's exactly what we're going to see. But, it was incredibly noteworthy to me, Jason, because exactly as you said, Israel warned the folks in Gaza and said, look, if you're a civilian there, you need to get the hell out. You need to get out in the next 24 hours. And what did Hamas say in immediate response to that? They came out and they said, no, ignore Israel's demand to evacuate. Do not evacuate. To the civilians. And that was so telling to me, because what's Hamas saying? Hamas is saying, no, we want you here for two reasons. We want you here as a human shield between us and the IDF, the Israeli military, and we also want as many civilian casualties as possible so we can turn around and go, oh my gosh, look at the Israelis who killed all these civilians. So Hamas wants civilian casualties. That's the only message you can take from that. They want as many dead civilians in Gaza as they can possibly come up with, and that's shocking. It's not shocking because it's Hamas, but it's disgusting to me.
And there's a lot of, we talked about this earlier, national American media outlets that will side with the Palestinians on this.
Yes,
I can't believe
absolutely.
the Israelis are doing this. They should pull back a little bit now. They're not going to pull back.
No.
What happened to them is personal. This has been a long time brewing. They want this thing to end, and this is going to be grisly. And to understand what really is going on here, Trey Yingst, he's a reporter for Fox News. He is embedded in Israel, and I think he's been doing a phenomenal job. He's been doing a really good job. He had access to go into a home that was previously, occupied by Israelis, but they were slaughtered to death by the terrorists last weekend. Listen to Trey describe the scene inside that house almost a week later.
The kitchen floors are stained with blood. People were home at the time. It was early in the morning on Saturday when Hamas militants stormed into their homes. And the soldiers here tell us they found bodies that appeared to be executed, people with hands tied behind their backs, mothers holding their small children, bodies decapitated. Pure horror in this small town.
So the Israelis are not going to pull back.
No.
This is personal to them. And what floors me, and we saw this a little bit yesterday here on Monument Circle, we're seeing it all over the country, these woke, rich, spoiled, entitled college kids these Harvard kids, among other places, protesting, not knowing their left from their right in support of the Palestinians.
Yeah, and again, you can't say it's shocking because that's who these people are. They just want a knee-jerk reaction in favor of these leftist policies. But the fact that the Hamas went in there and slaughtered innocent people, they paraglided into a music festival and murdered a whole bunch of innocent teenagers who were just there to enjoy music.
The same thing these college kids like to do.
Exactly. And murdered these people just mercilessly. And to turn around and say they support that. And even did you see the BLM meme that was out there? It was someone in a parachute, like a paraglider, with a Palestinian flag floating off of it.
BLM Chicago.
And we support the Palestine on that. I mean, you're supporting killing, murdering in mass numbers, innocent people. That's unbelievable to me.
So right now we're seeing explosions over Gaza. And again, the ground attack. It is imminent. It could really honestly be any point this weekend. The Israelis are not here to mess around.
No.
We will keep you up to date. Let's do something happier.
You bet.
Let's talk about making some money by being degenerates and gambling on sports. We'll do that next.
Indianapolis. With Mayor Joe Hogsett, we've made real progress. Billions in new construction, unemployment at a historic low, 700 new police, $1.2 billion in new infrastructure, hundreds of new streetlights, and thousands of college scholarships. Now Joe Hogsett is fighting the state abortion ban and to get guns off the street. But Joe knows the work isn't done. It's why he's hiring even more police, expanding community policing, and investing in programs that help keep kids out of trouble. And Jefferson Shreve, he supports banning abortion. And after getting an A rating from the NRA, Jefferson Shreve has been against any new gun laws. Jefferson Shreve is bringing Trump-style politics to Indianapolis and trashing our city. Re-elect Mayor Joe Hogsett. Steady leadership in times of change.
Paid for by Hogsett for Indianapolis.
What's your game day game plan? Award-winning jumbo wings, burgers and wraps, appetizers and sides that'll pin your flavor meter, and all the sauces and rubs you could ever want, plus a few sauces and rubs more. You know where to get them. You're always ready to please local Wings, etc. Head to wingsetc.com and order up some good food and great times from one of our 15 Central Indiana area locations. Wings, etc. for carry-out or delivery. We got game for your game.
Just had my American Standard unit serviced for its regularly scheduled maintenance. I am an American Standard customer. I use them only American Standard dealers if I ever need anything. I do have an American Standard unit installed in my house, so I don't have to worry about keeping the house warm this fall and winter. If you need American Standard service, Hammer will tell you who you need to check out.
Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling in Franklin. If you're in Johnson or the surrounding counties, Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling is your trusted American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. So if you're looking for a fair and honest quote, call our friends at Marshall Mechanical Heating and Cooling. 317-738-5940. That's 738-5940. Or visit their website, callthemarshallnow.com. That's callthemarshallnow.com. American Standard Heating and Air is built to a higher standard. Make sure you tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Culture tells teenagers that truth is relative and based on how they feel and how others feel. With this mindset, it's no wonder that depression, confusion, and suicidal tendencies are on the rise in teenagers today. At Life Church, we know a truth and it's not based on feelings. If you have a teenager in your life, invite them to our Truth Conference, October 14th and 15th. For more information, go to lifechurchin.com. This is Tina Pavey, Director of Next Gen Ministries. Parents, you can do this. We will help you.
If there is blame to go around, it will begin and it will end right here.
That's Joe Hogsett laying out his crime plan back in 2017.
I am responsible.
The results? Over 800 police have left the force, most since the protests when Joe was absent.
I am responsible.
Murders are up 52%. and the odds of getting away with it are better than a coin flip. Only 35% of cases were solved last year.
I am responsible.
Mental health is underfunded. Homelessness on the rise. And now, Indy ranks 4th in lethal overdoses.
I am responsible.
It's just not working.
I am responsible because I happen to be the mayor.
So I ask you, isn't it time for a change?
Paid for by Shreve for Mayor.
Heat and cool your man cave, attic, garage, or bonus room without adding ductwork with Mitsubishi Electric ductless mini splits.
To find out more, just go to absolutecomfort.org.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Design it before you buy it. Up to 50% off all products and 2.99% financing plus $550 installation credit.
All right, we are about to make some weekend bets. But before we do it, Matt Bear is going to get us to where we need to be.
All right, Hammer, looking at the west side, northbound 465 stop-and-go traffic from Washington Street up to 21st. That is a work zone going on until Monday. It's the same for the repaving zone in Lawrence, southbound 465. Stop traffic after Keystone down to East 56. The delay is longer because of the construction zone. Eastbound 70 slow into downtown from Belmont to the south. Split southbound 65 stop-and-go 29th to Meridian Penn. Traffic sponsored by B Window. Design it before you buy it with B Window. Now for a limited time, get up to 50% off all products, 2.99% financing, and a $550 installation credit. Trust your home to B. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
76 at the American Standard Heating Weather Center at 93 WIBC.
Friday the 13th has been a source of superstition ever since the 19th century.
The number 13 scares me.
People will purposefully avoid doing anything significant due to the belief that the day is cursed.
If I know it's Friday the 13th, if I see a black cat, I should run away.
Don't cross a black cat.
Yawning without covering your mouth allows your soul to escape.
I do not whistle inside.
Did you know that a young boy drowned? His name was Jason.
Friday the 13th for me has always been more of a lucky day.
Good, we need some good luck today.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
And good luck we shall have this weekend. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show. I'm Jason Hammer. Guy Relford filling in for Big Nige. Guy, you feel good about the Colts this weekend, right?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think
he's eating all the leftovers food that we got brought over. Sorry.
I think we're going to get a little Minshew magic going back to Jacksonville, where he started his career, had a lot of success there, even as a rookie, as a backup. And I think this defense is starting to come together. I'm cautiously optimistic.
All right. My esteemed colleague, Scott Long, comedian Scott Long, he's got a play on this Colts game that you can bet on. So I've got the article posted right now. If you go to the Hammer and Nigel Show, Facebook or Twitter, the article is posted of all of my friends and their bets for the weekend. We call it Hammer and Friends. And Scott Long, comedian's white hot right now. 11-3-1 the last 3 weeks.
That's crazy.
He's 5-1 on his best bets, and for the season, he's 16-13-1.
And that's against the spread, right?
Yes, all of this is against the spread. Your boy here, I'm 15-12-3 overall, so we're 3 games above 500. I hit the best bet and the degenerate special last week. 4-2 on best bets, 3-1-2 on the degenerate special. Now, we work with 2 professionals, David Stefanoff of FollowNeverFade.com. This dude, if you're one of his subscribers, his paid subscribers, 64-45 to his VIP subscribers. And we got a new guy this week, Kenny Britt of KB Sports. You can find him on Facebook or Twitter. If you subscribe to his service, my man Kenny is hitting college football at a 77% mark right now, NFL at 67, overall 74%. So I'm balling with some heavyweights here.
No doubt.
Subscribe to these guys' services. They're really good, but they're going to give you games you actually want to watch. I, on the other hand, I give you the Degenerate Special.
It's time for Hammer's Degenerate Special.
This is a game that nobody wants to watch, but the money you win on this game spends the same as if you're watching Oregon and Washington. We are going back to the Mac, baby. Who wants a little Maction?
I want action tonight.
Maction action. And we're going back to the Ball State football Cardinals. Toledo at Ball State. Toledo minus 17. The over-under, 47.5. We won betting against Ball State last week. So, the way that I see this guy, Ball State is on a degenerate special heater. And you guys know the rules when it comes to heaters.
And you never walk away from the table when you're on a heater.
And we're not walking away from Ball State now. So, here's a little tale of the tape. Offensive points per game, Toledo, 40.8. That's 7th in college football. Ball State, 16.5. Good for 125th. And oh, by the way, Ball State's also 119th defensively. Long story short, Ball State's not very good. Toledo, they've got a dual threat quarterback, a stud running back, and I'm looking at the total in this game because I think Toledo could do a lot of the heavy lifting here on their own. And if you can just get a little bit of help from Ball State, your toes are tapping. This feels like a 40-17 type of game, or best case scenario for Ball State, 31-17 if it's close. Toledo wide receivers, 8 touchdowns in the red zone this year. That's tied for the 3rd best among wide receivers in football. Ball State's defense stinks in the red zone. So, in 6 games this year, Toledo has gone over 47.5 4 times. I like those odds. I see this total of 47.5. Smokey from Friday.
Wait a minute. What's this? This ain't enough.
This ain't enough. I like the over in this game. Call me Captain Over.
Gentlemen, I'd like you to meet your captain, Captain Over.
Gentlemen, welcome aboard.
Captain, your navigator, Mr. Unger, and your first officer, Mr. Dunn.
Unger? Over. Over. Done.
And I am over the total, over 47.5. Toledo at Ball State. That is this week's Degenerate Special. Top stories are next.
We've created something special here in Carmel. I'm Sue Finkham, and it's here where I built my business and started a family and served as a leader on City Council, helping our community prosper and increasing government transparency. Now, we're America's #1 rated city, but we're just getting started. Lots of people talk about keeping Carmel the best city in America. But me, I'm the only one with the plan and experience to do it. I'm Sue Finkham. It's simple. Prioritize public safety by hiring, training, and equipping our first responders. Introduce responsible budgeting so every cent spent benefits us. And ensure development doesn't endanger our community's one-of-a-kind character.
Sue Finkham, the only candidate with the experience and vision to keep Carmel the best city in America, partnering with police to keep our community safe and ensuring responsible development to help our community thrive.
Together, let's keep Carmel on the path to success.
On November 7th, vote Sue Finkham for mayor.
Paid for by Sue Finkham Victory Committee.
No 2 breast cancers are the same, and no 2 treatment plans should be either. At Franciscan Health, we believe in breast cancer care that's specialized to each person, with treatment plans for your specific cancer. Combining compassion, dedication, innovation, and experience, our breast cancer care looks different for everyone because it should be specialized just for you. Schedule a consultation or a second opinion with our cancer experts at franciscanhealth.org/breastcancercare.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. You may be aware that online crime is a huge threat, but did you know this problem could be a great career opportunity for you? Cybersecurity experts are in high demand and well paid. You can position yourself for this specialty in months, not years, at My Computer Career, even with no prior IT experience. Learn how you can train for this rewarding career at mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
Mark Dietl, expert real estate agent, only real estate agent I would trust to sell my house and to find me a new one. Maybe you're a growing family, or maybe you're downsizing, kind of like Ben near Speedway. After 48 years, it was time to downsize and cash in on the equity. He heard about Mark Dietl on our show, hired him, and then he delivered as promised. Mark got Ben the cash offer with no appraisal before the home even went on the market at the price Ben wanted.
Mark Dietl is the only real estate expert that we trust and recommend with the sale of our homes. Mark Dietl guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. What are you waiting for? Call Mark Dietl today, 317-755-4232, or go to markdietl.com. Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietl.com. Tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Your local news coming up after Fox News Radio from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
They're getting ready to get the job done. Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's what an Israeli soldier just told Fox News.
Hamas will not be able to threaten Israeli civilians ever again.
Israeli Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Kenrikas says they're focused on targeting Hamas while trying to get civilians out of the way. Ahead of an expected ground invasion, Israel has called for evacuations in northern Gaza, though a 24-hour deadline was criticized by UN officials. Russia reportedly proposing a draft UN Security Council resolution calling for a humanitarian ceasefire and condemning violence against civilians and all acts of terrorism, as well as calling for the release of hostages. President Biden and members of his national security team spoke earlier today with the families of 14 missing Americans.
I assured them my personal commitment to do everything possible to return every missing American to their families. We're working round the clock to secure the release.
During a previously scheduled event in Philadelphia, the president also reiterating U.S. support for Israel and calling Hamas pure evil, but appealing for urgent efforts to address humanitarian concerns in Gaza. House Republicans pick a new nominee for House Speaker. Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan. The Ohio congressman had lost a previous vote to Majority Leader Steve Scalise, but Scalise dropped out yesterday after failing to build enough support to face a full House vote, which might also be a problem for Jordan.
There is a substantial block against Jim Jordan, who voted for Austin Scott, just somebody who got into the vote tally today. I mean, there's several dozen, from what I'm told, members who voted for Austin Scott. Now, what we don't know is whether or not they would go to the floor.
Fox's Chad Pergram on the Hill. Austin Scott, a 7-term congressman from Georgia. America is listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
It's going to feel more like fall. Cloudy and 75 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. Radar is clear. You've got a low of 55 tonight with some rain chances. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 5:02. Expect some cooler temperatures this weekend. Ryan Hedrick reports.
That's because there's a storm system moving in from the west.
On Saturday, we'll see temperatures in the 60s. It'll feel cooler, especially lower 60s. But then really where those coolest temperatures will be Sunday and Monday.
Forecaster Mike Ryan with the National Weather Service says the system will stall over the area for a few days, creating lower temperatures. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A man died in a wreck in Johnson County after he veered off North 5 Points Road last night.
It appears that he crossed the center line. Speed could be a contributing factor and struck Juan Gayton, 51 of Indianapolis, his vehicle, and he was driving a 2013 black Cadillac Escalade.
Johnson County Sheriff Dwayne Burgess, 2 other people were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. 700 Stellantis workers in Kokomo have been laid off. Donnie Burgess reports.
It's in response to the United Auto Workers strike, which is still going, still not settled. Stellantis says the layoff was necessary because of the strike at the Toledo Assembly Complex. The company has over 1,300 employees laid off across 3 different states. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Republican presidential candidates are in New Hampshire taking care of campaign paperwork. What's next is in your hands, says former Governor Mike Pence.
We entrust ourselves to the judgment of the people of the granite state.
We entrust ourselves to the judgment of the American people.
New Hampshire will hold the first Republican presidential primary. Former President Donald Trump still holds a strong lead over the GOP, despite not showing up to a single debate yet. The average price for a gallon of gas in Indiana today, $3.36 per gallon, according to GasBuddy.com. It's below the national average of $3.59. Traffic and weather in 1 minute. Your time is 5:04.
Hey, Rob, I have a question for you.
Yes, Casey.
Did you know the Social Security Trust Fund is now scheduled to run out of money in just 10 years?
Why, yes, I did, Casey, because our politicians are awful and dishonest with the public. And, well, we talk about that all the time on this show.
This news could dramatically change how and when you file for your benefits.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Learn how you could wring every stinking nickel out of your benefits with a free Social Security analysis from Bill Demery, your retirement guy right here in Indy. This free analysis pinpoints exactly how you could get the most income from Social Security while considering your taxes, IRA, and 401k withdrawals and spousal benefits.
If you've saved more than $200,000 and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis by calling 317-932-9912. Save yourself a ton of time and avoid making a critical mistake. Call 317-932-9912. That's 317-932-9912.
With traffic in the fives at 5:05, how are the roads, Map Air?
We're doing a little bit better, Harrison. We're looking at the west side right now. That's not. Northbound 465 stop and go after Washington up to 21st Day Work Zone going on until Monday. Same with Lawrence. Southbound 465 stop traffic after Keystone Avenue. Drag you down to East 56th Street. Northbound 465, same area. Stop and go East 56th Street up to I-69. Inbound 69 slow roll off 96 down to 465. Inbound 65 jammed up 29th on end, and eastbound 70 stop and go before Belmont to Meridian, Illinois. Traffic sponsored by Allworth Financial Uncompromised Wealth Management. Discover uncompromised wealth management that serves your best interest, not your advisors. Visit allworthfinancial.com to book a free appointment today. That's allworthfinancial.com. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
As we move into our Friday evening, we're looking at steady rain as a cold front moves through the forecast. Showers and even some thunder is possible. Low temperature near 55 degrees. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Drew Narsutis for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hammer and Nigel.
Can you believe these characters are weirdos?
So let's rock!
So the Israeli army getting ready for a ground invasion. The Biden administration telling Israel to delay their operation. I don't believe Israel is listening to the Biden administration. Strikes are happening right now, airstrikes in Gaza, but the ground attack, all eyes are on that because this will be a large-scale attack from Israel. We'll have more on that coming up in just a moment. I'm Jason Hammer, Guy Relford, the gun guy, filling in for Big Nige today. And Jim Jordan, no surprise, has won the closed-door secret ballot nomination to become the Speaker of the House for the Republicans. We knew this would happen. Now the question is, can he get to 217? Last night, Steve Scalise knew that he couldn't get there, pulled his name out. Jim Jordan seems like this would be the guy that could bring everybody together. But the establishment wing of the Republicans, they want Representative Austin Scott to kind of sabotage the votes from Jim Jordan. So again, the closed door balloting is finished. We knew Jim Jordan would win that. Now the question becomes, can he get to 217? Now you may be asking yourself, who's Austin Scott? Austin Scott was the top political trader on Wall Street in 2021. And it feels like, Guy, the only reason he's in this thing is to try to sabotage Jim Jordan.
Yeah, and that's not productive. Again, my criticism of the Republican Party throughout this whole process is they never had a backup plan. You know, you had enough people say, all right, we want to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. Okay, fine. You have legitimate criticisms against Kevin McCarthy. I totally get that. What's backup plan? Or are you just going to shut down the House of Representatives while you continue to demonstrate that just dysfunctionality is what it looks to me like, and I don't think that does them any good in the long run. I really don't.
And you're not the only one that feels that way. Earlier today, Representative Chip Roy from Texas went on Glenn Beck's program, and his update is this group of Republicans, they don't know which fight to focus on. Like, what are you going to say? This is what we're about. Draw a line in the sand. This is what we're about. We need a speaker who can lead us here. That's not what's happening.
The vast majority of Republicans are totally fine with increasing spending, kicking the can down the road, saying, oh, the next president will save us. Oh, we need to win the Senate. Oh, we need a bigger majority. Look, I understand the difficulty of the moment. So do you. Neither you nor I expect us to get every single thing we want in this divided government. But at some point, you have to pick a major fight and mean it. Democrats do that all the time. When are we going to pick a major fight and mean it? If we're going to throw down on the border, and that means accepting some Ukraine spending, I would prefer not to, then let's pick that fight. If we need to kill all dollars to Ukraine, and that means we're not going to address the border fast enough, okay, let's pick that fight. I can't get a clear signal from our leadership as to what path we are going to choose to go win these fights.
And to your point, Guy, that is exactly what you're kind of mentioning. There's dysfunction. There's no leadership. There's no path. What are we about?
Yeah, and the Democrats, for all their incredible failings and how much destruction they've caused in this country, one thing that they're really good at is when they're in a foxhole together, all the muskets are pointed out. Right?
They stick together.
They got all the muzzles pointed outside the foxhole. And what Republicans do far too much of is a bunch of infighting that just shuts down any productivity and again demonstrates, well, what it does is it supports the arguments that Democrats make all the time, which is these people can't run the country because they can't even run their own party.
So now we are turning our attention to what's happening in Israel. Again, airstrikes continue. But Joe Biden is telling the Israeli army to slow down on the Gaza operation. So, Guy, imagine if you're an Israeli and you've had members of your family beheaded, brutally murdered, someone you love was raped and dragged through the streets, and you've got a leader in another country who's supposed to be your ally saying, why don't you pump the brakes just a little bit?
Well, yeah, and for all we know, too, those atrocities continue to happen. I mean, there are still there are still members of Hamas going house to house, and they're still searching out hostages. They're still brutalizing people. And if you're holding on, by your last thread, hoping the Israeli army, the IDF, shows up to rescue you, are you very comfortable with the president of the U.S., sitting in the White House a few thousand miles away going, oh, no, why don't you just chill for a while? You guys sit back. None of that sits right with me. Now, again, you want to be smart about it. And if it's purely reactionary and you're acting out of emotion and you're not being smart, you're not being tactically sound in terms of how it is you want to approach it, that's entirely different. But just saying, oh, no, because what's that sound like? It sounds like the calls for Israel to stand down and to basically take a step back. That's what all the pro-Palestinian people have been saying.
And that's what Nikki Haley stated.
Exactly
we played that soundbite earlier. She's getting ahead of the game. She told us that the media in this country and maybe even some politicians are going to make Israel the bullies here.
Yeah, exactly right. And let's make no mistake. This was an attack by terrorists on innocent civilians. That's the only way you can portray this. And it's not about land. I mean, I heard that point made earlier, and I wanted to really emphasize it. This is not, people say, oh, well, the Israelis stole Palestinians' homeland, and this is just people trying to reclaim their home. No. Hamas has one goal. They have one objective, and that's simply to kill Israelis, to kill Jews. That's what they're all about. That's what they've always been about. This is about terrorism. It's about killing innocents, and that's what this is about. It's not about land or territory. They could have whatever land they want. They would still be trying to kill Israelis, and that's because that's their mission.
Right. So we had some fireworks last night on Sean Hannity's TV show. Now, I admit I don't watch his program religiously. Sometimes it's just on in the background. But I started seeing a lot of things trending. And man, this got pretty good pretty quick. So Cornel West and Alan Dershowitz both were guests on Sean Hannity's television program on Fox last night. Cornel West wrote that the U.S. and Israel are to blame for the terror attacks, and then Sean Hannity called him out on it.
How is Israel and the United States responsible for beheading 40 children? How?
I'm talking about the context. 545 Palestinian children died in August 2004. Not one American said a word. I believe a Palestinian baby has the same value as an Israeli baby. So when you have that kind of vicious hatred and revenge, you get response of hatred and revenge. They are all wrong. They're all war crimes. They're all to be condemned. But you cannot simply look at this particular moment without the larger backdrop of an ugly occupation and the ugly attacks chronically against Palestinians.
Those are not your words. Largely right. Israel and the United States are primarily responsible for this attack.
So Carnell West goes on and on and on. Well, then Alan Dershowitz, who is Jewish, had a problem with what was coming out of West's mouth.
Palestinian children were killed, but I explained why they were killed. Here is one of the leaders of Hamas. For the Palestinian people, death has become an industry. The elderly excel at this, and so do the children. This is why we have formed human shields of the women and the children. Hamas is the ones responsible for the killing of Palestinian children. Also, Hamas has a term. It's called the CNN strategy. And the CNN strategy is induce Israel into killing Palestinian children by using them as human shields. Then parade the bodies out on CNN, and you'll see what happens. People like Cornell West will engage in crocodile tears, blame it on Israel, when the entire blame is on the Palestinians, Hamas, for using their children as human shields.
And what's completely consistent with that is the point we were discussing earlier, is that Israel came out today and said, you need to evacuate Gaza. You need to do it in the next 24 hours. And what was Hamas's reaction to that? They said, no. Civilians stay in Gaza. That's exactly what Alan Dershowitz was talking about. He wants the human shield. The Hamas wants the human shields, and they want those civilian casualties because it's the CNN strategy, exactly as Alan Dershowitz just laid out.
And then at this point in the conversation, those two guys just started going at each other.
You're a professor of theology. Don't you understand the moral difference between deliberately murdering a kid and having collateral damage because there are human shields? You're running for president of the United States. What would you do? Let me ask the question.
Okay.
What would you do if terrorists were firing at American children in America and the terrorists were hiding behind Palestinian children? Would you allow the killing of Americans to continue, or would you go and get the terrorists, even if it meant possibly collateral damage on Palestinians? What would you do?
I'm not here to defend Hamas.
Well, you are.
No, I'm not defending Hamas.
Wait a minute.
Don't you ever lie on me like that, brother. I'm defending the suffering of Palestinians.
I want to hear.
And Hamas itself committing war crimes.
I want to hear you say.
Anybody who commits war crimes are barbaric. I'm saying that explicitly, but I want you to say, if the Israeli Defense Forces are killing children, are they barbaric too?
No.
Are they ever barbaric?
No. If they target children.
Yes. Have they ever targeted children?
No, absolutely never. Never in the history have they ever targeted a child deliberately.
I mean, now we're laughing at it because these two guys are going at each other. Now imagine about a couple thousand folks like that in Times Square, because that's what's happening right now. Right now, Times Square is packed. It's the National Global Day of Jihad or whatever, the Day of Rage, whatever you want to call it. And Times Square in New York, it is packed. And I'm just curious what's going to happen when the sun goes down tonight. All right, Matt Bear, what's up?
West Side, northbound 465, stop and go from Rockville Road up to 21st. That is a work zone until Monday. Same with the Lawrence work zone. It's eastbound 465. That's stop and go right now after Keystone Avenue to East 56. North side, westbound 465, also slow. Stop and go from Meridian 31 to Michigan. Inbound 65, loaded from MLK down to Meridian Penn. And eastbound 70, slow to downtown from Harding. Traffic sponsored by Isaacs and Isaacs. After a car wreck, it can feel like you're living in a horror show. Don't feel like the insurance company make you feel like you're living in a bad, scary movie. Just click to get help quick at WeWin.com. Happy Halloween from the Hammer. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Let's open up the phones. Anytime we have Guy Relford filling in for Nige, we like to play Ask the Gun Guy. So if you've got a 2A firearm question of any kind, anything goes. Certain situations, what can you do in certain spots? Call right now, 239-9393. 239-9393. You've got the best 2A attorney in America ready to answer your questions for free. We're going to put Guy Relford to work. Ask the Gun Guy. 239-9393. It's 76 at the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k or IRA? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. You've been lied to by the Wall Street fat cats who get paid whether you win or lose. They say risk your life savings in the stock market, but studies show people who follow that advice will outlive their savings by a staggering 10 years. They say max out your contributions to 401ks, but the man who invented the 401k now says it's a monster that should be destroyed. They say defer paying your taxes to retire in a lower tax bracket, but retirees who fell for that lie are paying higher taxes than ever. Now get a free report exposing the wealth-killing lies you've been told and discover the proven retirement plan alternative Wall Street fat cats hope you never hear about. You can get guaranteed competitive growth every year and tax-free retirement income. Get your free report now at bankonyourself.com/save. That's bankonyourself.com/save. bankonyourself.com/save.
It's time to get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana. Take a little trip this football season in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. Get in the tailgating spirit, Indiana, because Hubler's got you covered this football season for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Hey, it's Big Joe for Absolute Comfort, your trusted independent American Standard Air dealer. And owner Chris Wettigan sells the Mitsubishi Electric Mini Split, a great option for heating and cooling where ductwork can't be installed.
If you have one of those homes that has baseboard heat or electric heat, ceiling cable heat, these can be specifically designed for those houses because in those houses it's very difficult having to do all the construction and remodeling that goes with adding ductwork into those types of homes.
Find out more by going to AbsoluteComfort.org. Absolute Comfort is your trusted independent American Standard Air Mitsubishi Electric Elite Ductless Pro dealer.
24/7 ER care for kids. 24/7 peace of mind for you. Riley Children's Health emergency doctors and nurses are in the ER around the clock at IU Health North in Carmel. Learn more at rileychildrens.org/ER.
This hour powered by Absolute Comfort, your American Standard Mitsubishi Electric Ductless Mini Splits dealer.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
When Guy Relford fills in, we put him to work. Guy Relford filling in for Nigel today on the Hammer and Nigel Show, and it's time to ask the gun guy. So if you're on hold right now, this is how it's going to work. We are going to try to get to as many calls as we can. Just be brief. Get your question out there quickly. We don't have time for a 15-minute story. And the best damn 2A attorney in America, a man who has written law in this state when it comes to the Second Amendment, will answer your questions. All right, Dan, welcome to the Hammer and Nigel Show. Get us going, my man.
Yeah, really quick. I'm getting ready to get a handgun for the first time. I'm very familiar with rifles and shotguns, but handguns, I'm not. So I'm wanting to get his opinion on proper training for handling the gun, best type of gun for carrying and home protection, or one or the other.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I'll tell you what, there are some great instructors around Indy. I'm not doing the entry-level pistol training anymore. I did it for a really long time, but someplace, for instance, like Indy Arms has a great training program. They'll have like introduction to handgun, and then you can go on to take a class like defensive handgun, and they've got various levels of that. But that's just one place. And there are a lot of other places that have really good training right here in the area. But just by way of example, I'd check out indyarms.com, and I know those instructors there, and they do a really nice job.
Jeff, you are next up. Welcome to the Hammer and Nigel show, Jeff. We got Guy Relford here.
Hey, Guy. Just had a real quick question here in Indiana. What is the difference between open carry and concealed carry? I've got a lifetime carry permit, and I've had some restaurants and businesses that have said, nope, sorry, you can't come in. You're carrying a gun. And they send me back out. And so just wanted to see what that was.
Well, whether it's with a license to carry handgun, which you and I have, or under constitutional carry, which we've had since last year, you can carry either openly or concealed in Indiana. However, a business has the right to set whatever policy they want about your possession of a firearm in their business. So they can have a no-gun policy. You walk in there, if you're open carrying and they see you're carrying a gun, they can go, hey, you can't eat in here, or you can't shop in here, or whatever it may be. Of course, if you're carrying concealed and violating their policy, they're much less likely to realize that. But in Indiana, you're not breaking the law if you violate a business's no-gun policy. For instance, my client, Eli Dickin, and it was the hero of the Greenwood Park Mall shooting. He was in a mall where they have a no-weapons policy, the Greenwood Park Mall. At the same time, he chose to violate that because he wasn't breaking the law in any way. And thank God he did, because now dozens and dozens of people are alive because he was the hero that day that stopped a mass shooting in 15 seconds.
Cameron, you are next up. We've got Guy Relford here. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. Kind of to back on to the last guy's question, how you've got a place that's got a policy with no guns. Let's say it's not a policy. Let's say it's a law. Let's say you've got a guy who's a serious violent felon who's in possession of a firearm at the time of not a mass casualty, but let's say a homegrown terrorist attack. And that person who's not supposed to have a firearm that is in possession of the firearm stops the threat. What's your thoughts on any forthcoming charges on that individual?
Well, I'll tell you exactly how the law works in that situation, and that is that you don't lose your right to defend yourself or defend other people because you're illegally carrying a gun. If I'm a serious violent felon, so under both state and federal law, I can't possess a gun. If I'm walking around the circle here and somebody tries to kill me, I can defend myself. And I don't commit murder if I otherwise lawfully and justifiably defend myself, but I could still go to jail for possession of a gun by a serious violent felon. In other words, I didn't lose my right to defend myself or defend my right to defend somebody else, so I don't go to jail for murder, but I can go to jail for the original crime I'm committing, which is possession of a gun by a prohibited possessor.
The dead bad guy is irrelevant.
Yes.
It's just the gun charge.
That's just the gun charge. That's right. It's no different than if I didn't use force and self-defense and just got caught with a gun.
So we've got John Doe, who wants to come on and ask you a question, Guy.
All right.
Go ahead, John.
All right. First and foremost, it's a pleasure talking to you guys. It's an honor. My question is centered around the Center Township Constable's Office. What is your input on the situation where their radio communications have been taken away and the constables that are out doing their job have no radio communications amongst themselves? Do you feel that may be an officer safety risk?
Yeah, I think anytime you interfere with officer communications, I mean, they rely on that. I mean, that's one of the big part of their training is acting in a coordinated fashion and appropriately communicating. And interference with police communication can actually constitute a crime to the extent you're interfering with police activity.
David, you are next up. We got Guy Relford here. Go ahead, David.
Okay, it's strictly a hypothetical question. It's more of a bringing awareness of what is
possibly going to happen is I live out in the country. My wife and I, we're both close to retirement, so we're elderly. And I think this jihadist insanity is eventually going to reach out and go insane. Defense of my home. I'm a shoot first. I'm not going to let somebody harm me or take a shot. If I feel threatened, I'm shooting first.
Well, the rules change for defending your home. In other words, feeling threatened or protecting yourself against serious injury or the commission of what's called a forcible felony, those can be requirements being out in public in order to use deadly force in self-defense. But in the home, the rules are different. That's why we call it the Castle Doctrine, because you can simply defend your home, and you can use reasonable force, including deadly force, to either prevent or terminate an unlawful entry into or attack on your dwelling. That's your home. So you don't have to see a weapon. You don't have to fear being injured. If someone's illegally, is a critical point, can't be someone who has a key that you've given to, or their name's on the lease or on the deed or whatever. But if they're illegally attacking your home or breaking into your home, the statute says you can defend your home with deadly force, and that's legal and it's justified.
All right, we got 1 minute left. Tom, if you can make it quick, we'll get you in, brother. Go ahead. We got Guy Relford here.
Okay, real quick. I purchased a handgun a couple years ago at Premier Arms. I want to transfer that weapon to my son who lives in Tampa, Florida. I'm going to be traveling to Tampa in December for Christmas. I'm going to carry it in my baggage in a locked case in my checked baggage. But I just want to make sure I got this right. Can I take that gun to an FFL down there and have that legally transferred to him?
Yeah, you can't, and so you're all over this. You can't directly transfer a firearm to a citizen of another state. So it needs to go through an FFL. Since you're transferring it to him anyway, and since you know it has to go through an FFL in Florida, what would be a lot easier than dealing with and I've done the TSA check-in thing a million times. Sometimes it goes smoothly, sometimes it's a pain in the butt. But what you could do is simply take it to an FFL where you live, have them ship it to an FFL near him, that he can go in and fill out the 4473, go through the background check, and pick up the gun. That way you don't have to worry about traveling with it, and you don't have to worry about taking it into an FFL in Florida.
Thank you for all of your calls. Guy Relford, thank you.
Always.
Right now, Harrison Silcox has the news.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He's supporting Israel. 74 degrees and cloudy in downtown Indianapolis. Storms to the west on radar, but no rain in Indy yet. Low of 55 tonight. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending at 5:31. Your former governor believes every American should support Israel.
I think it's important that leaders across the political spectrum speak with one voice. That America stands with Israel.
Mike Pence in New Hampshire filing to run for the White House. President Joe Biden also supports Israel and has nothing good to say about Hamas.
These guys make Al-Qaeda look pure. They're pure evil.
Speaking in Philadelphia today, Biden says his administration's also trying to find missing Americans in Israel. Here we go again in the House. A Republican nominee's been chosen as Speaker of the House in a closed-door meeting. This time it's Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. He now has to earn at least 217 votes from his own party in the House floor to win the gavel. It's not clear when that vote's going to happen. Republican Steve Scalise went through the same process earlier this week, but didn't get the votes and withdrew. A Stellantis plant in Kokomo just laid off 700 workers. Donnie Burgess reports.
It's in response to the United Auto Workers strike, which is still going, still not settled. Stellantis says the layoff was necessary because of the strike at the Toledo Assembly Complex. The company has over 1,300 employees laid off across 3 different states. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A cold front's headed this way, but you won't notice until this evening.
So we are expecting highs again in the mid and upper 70s today. Probably be a little bit more wind today than there was Thursday.
Temperatures will be lower over the weekend with fall-like conditions, says Mike Ryan with the National Weather Service. The average price you're paying for a gallon of gas in Indiana today, $3.36. That's according to GasBuddy.com. It's also well below the national average, which is at $3.59. With traffic at 5:33, here's Matt Baer.
All right, Harrison, looking at eastbound 465, stop traffic before Allisonville Road down to Penn Pike because of construction. Eastbound 70, looking a little slow around West Street. Inbound 65 is stop and go before MLK to Meridian Penn. On the north side, westbound 465 drags from Meridian over to Michigan. Traffic sponsored by B Window. Design it before you buy it with B Window. Now for a limited time, get up to 50% off all products, 2.99% financing, and a $550 installation credit. Trust your home to be. I'm Matt Baer. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
And here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
As we move into our Friday evening, we're looking at steady rain as a cold front moves through the forecast. Showers and even some thunder is possible. Low temperature near 55 degrees. Winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Drew Narsutis for 93 WIBC.
I'm Harrison Silcox on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to the Hammer and Nigel Show.
It is the Hammer and Nigel Show. I'm Jason Hammer. Big Nige is out today. Guy Relford filling in. And right now, let's bring on one of our favorites, finance and economics editor from Breitbart, John Carney. John, I'm sure you've probably heard that expression, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to see it or hear it, did it really make a sound? I kind of feel like that's the case with this CPI inflation report that came out yesterday. It's a heavy news cycle. You know, we're talking about the war in Israel, the Speaker of the House drama, and I don't know how many people paid attention to this report that came out, but I feel like more people probably should have.
Yes, people should pay attention. One of the great things about it, because what it showed is that inflation is not going down. It came in hotter than expected. And so, you know, the storyline, which was like inflation is defeated, was really disrupted by this latest inflation report. We saw that the month-to-month number increased 0.4%. That's a big jump in inflation. And if you annualize that, meaning if we had this much inflation for the rest of the year, that comes out to 4.9%. Even if you take it back a little bit, some people like to say, well, 1 month, you know, things can go up and down. So they take like a 3-month version and say 3-month annualized, right? If we had, if the last 3 months, if we projected that for the rest of the year, what would happen? Well, that also gives you 4.9% inflation. That's a lot of inflation. It's way higher than the Federal Reserve's 2% target. It really speaks to the fact that inflation is proving a lot stickier, a lot more persistent than anybody thought it would. The good news on that is I don't think people depend on the data to tell them that inflation is high, because they go to the grocery store, they try to take, you know, their family out to eat, they try to fill their gas tank up, and they see that inflation is still very strong and prices are still rising way too fast.
Yeah, there's no doubt the average family, you know, they see the cost of everything and they realize they've got less money than they did a year ago, or the amount of groceries they bought last year, the same amount, cost a hell of a lot more. But do you think the Biden administration caught a break? And I hate to use that term break because, again, there's horrible things happening in the world, but did they catch a break because there weren't a lot of stories about this awful report yesterday?
Yeah, I think they did. And I also saw a lot of Biden supporters in the media and elsewhere, and, you know, mainstream economists on the left, more or less trying to gaslight people about inflation. They said, oh, you know, Paul Krugman tweeted out that, like, the victory, basically a victory parade. You know, we won, the war over inflation is over. And of course, you know, that's just not true. One of the tricks they do is they say, well, if you don't count shelter, gas, and food, inflation's not up by that much.
Everything else is fine, but other than the things you desperately need to live day to day, other than that, things are great.
Right, and so I joke that the real thing that they're trying to do is just take out everything that went up in price, and if you do that, then guess what? There's no inflation. So basically, what they're doing is they're taking inflation, and if you minus inflation from inflation, you get zero, and sure, everything is just fine. There's a long history of economists trying to do that. It really began back in the 1970s when the Fed chair was Arthur Burns, and he was convinced that a lot of things that were showing up in inflation weren't actually inflationary. So he said, we had the OPEC oil embargo in the 1970s. So he said, okay, so take oil out. And then we had food prices start to go, and he thought that was because of El Nino. So he said, take food out. And then eventually he started taking out almost anything that was going up in price. So they took out mobile homes at one point. They took out jewelry. And if you take out all of the things that people want to take out, you're actually, particularly food, energy, and shelter, you're left with half of what actually goes into CPI. So that you're actually you're not even counting half of the things that the government uses to calculate inflation. And so, of course, we got a good number. It's just a ridiculous thing. And what happened in the 70s when they started trying to calculate inflation that way is real life inflation got out of control. It went super high, and they weren't paying attention to it because they became fixated on these, carved up artificial versions of inflation that made them feel better about the numbers.
We're speaking with John Carney, finance and economics editor at Breitbart. Do yourself a favor and check out the Breitbart Business Digest, which is co-authored by John as well as Alex Marlowe, the Breitbart editor-in-chief. You can sign up for that at Breitbart.com/newsletters. And John, one of the articles you've got out at Breitbart, the headline reads, "Consumer Sentiment Plunges as Inflation Fears Mount and Expected Business Conditions Crash." Now, for the layman, put this in their terms here, because there's some scary words in here. I see plunge, I see fears, I see crash. Break this down for us.
Right. So this is from the University of Michigan's monthly survey of consumer sentiment. It's the oldest and best survey that we have about how American households feel about the economy. And it fell much more than expected. It had sort of leveled out. It bounced back a little earlier in the year, and then it leveled out for July and August. Now it's crashing again. Why are people feeling worse? Well, two things drove it. One, people are more worried about inflation. Their expectations for inflation over the next year went up by a lot. People now expect inflation to run about 3.6% over the next 12 months. And their concerns over what business conditions will be like over the coming year also deteriorated a lot. That was a big crash. So people are really worried about the overall economy over the next, call it 6 months. So that has sapped consumer sentiment. Traditionally, big drops in consumer sentiment lead people to pull back on spending, to say, particularly on big ticket items, cars, appliances, that sort of thing. And so this is a warning that, yes, the economy is growing pretty strong right now, but people are getting worried. Now, I will put a note of caution. That's happened before. We've had some pretty big downturns in consumer sentiment, but people, because the jobless rate has remained very low, people have been able to keep spending. So maybe we don't get the pullback in consumer spending in the near term, but still people feel pretty terrible about the economy. And frankly, if I were the Biden administration and, the people on the campaign trying to get Biden reelected, I would be very worried about that, because I consider the consumer sentiment measure to really be actually better than the polls that ask who you're going to vote for. People answer for a lot of weird reasons. They give weird answers to who are you going to vote for. But generally, if they're very unhappy with their economic situation and with the condition of the country, then they're going to vote for the challenger and not the incumbent.
John Carney is our guest of Breitbart. He is their finance and economics editor. So, John, about Monday of last week, after the first weekend of the war, the attacks in Israel, we started hearing those rumors that the cost of gas is going to skyrocket. This is going to be bad for the economy. Not that there's ever a good time for a spike in gas prices, but especially right now, are you hearing anything about any extra additional costs here in America as a result of what's going on with Israel?
Yes, I think that there was initially a spike in the price of oil. It hasn't held up. That is very likely not because people think, there won't be an impact on oil from the war. There very well may be. And traditionally, when you have trouble in the Middle East, that pushes up the price of oil, which pushes up the price of gasoline. But in this case, actually, there may be some downward pressure on the price of gasoline because people expect economic weakness in China, economic weakness in Europe, and we just saw the consumer sentiment numbers, which hint that maybe we'll have a weaker economy in the U.S. as well. And a weaker economy means people use less oil and less petroleum products in general. So that you have these two things: the war pushing up prices, the potential for a recession, not just here but around the world, pushing down prices. So that's the tug of war we're seeing in oil and gas prices right now.
Finance and economics editor from Breitbart, John Carney. John, awesome stuff, man. We'd love to do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely. I love coming on with you guys.
All right. Beer Sample Friday coming up next. It's the Hammer and Nigel Show.
Hoosiers should know that the Holcomb administration is preparing to strip access to therapy from thousands of children with autism. These proposed cuts would devastate families caring for children with autism, force therapy centers to close, and lead to therapy deserts right here in West Central Indiana. Even worse, Governor Holcomb's administration is making this decision based on out-of-date information, skewing the results. We must stop this callous attack on Hoosier children with autism. Otherwise, thousands of Indiana families will lose access to services. Nicole Parker from Darlington is a mom of a child with autism who would lose access to services.
These callous cuts are not what Hoosiers stand for. I urge legislators and the state budget committee to say no to the Holcomb administration's proposed cuts.
Leaders of the State Budget Committee must reject the Holcomb administration's rate proposal. Support a rate that keeps centers open and protects life-changing therapy for children with autism. Paid for by the Market Institute.
The deals and specials are sizzling hot. It's the Central Indiana Gun and Knife Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory on West Minnesota Street. The best dealers in the region, hundreds of tables, just $6 for adults, kids 12 and under free. Must be 18 or accompanied by an adult. Buy, sell, trade this Saturday 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sunday 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Stoutfield National Guard Armory. For more info, visit centralindianagunshows.com.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. It's our 96th anniversary, and we're having a sale. Save 50% off Lazy Boy and Smith Brothers, plus 3 years interest-free financing or an extra 10% off for cash. Get a free Yeti cooler or Solo stove with a Tempur-Pedic purchase and up to 4 years interest-free financing on Tempur-Pedic. It's our 96th anniversary sale only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, now through Monday.
Being diagnosed with cancer doesn't mean facing it alone. At Community Health Network MD Anderson Cancer Center, we follow a multidisciplinary approach, bringing together specialists in every area of cancer care.
And if it wasn't for that team, I wouldn't be here. They put the right plan together and made it work. And I'm so grateful.
Your circle of support just got stronger. Learn more at ecommunity.com/cancer.
We've created something special here in Carmel. I'm Sue Finkham, and it's here where I built my business and started a family and served as a leader on City Council, helping our community prosper and increasing government transparency. Now, we're America's #1 rated city, but we're just getting started. Lots of people talk about keeping Carmel the best city in America. But me, I'm the only one with the plan and experience to do it. I'm Sue Finkham. It's simple. Prioritize public safety by hiring, training, and equipping our first responders, introduced responsible budgeting, so every cent spent benefits us, and ensure development doesn't endanger our community's one-of-a-kind character.
Sue Finkum, the only candidate with the experience and vision to keep Carmel the best city in America, partnering with police to keep our community safe, and ensuring responsible development to help our community thrive.
Together, let's keep Carmel on the path to success.
On November 7th, vote Sue Finkum for mayor.
Paid for by Sue Finkum Victory Committee.
Don't miss Mississinawa 1812 Living History event in Marion, Indiana this Friday through Sunday. Enjoy food, shopping, entertainment, and battle reenactments. Info at Mississinawa1812.com.
Heat and cool with nearly geothermal efficiency in places you can't fit ductwork with Mitsubishi electric ductless mini splits.
Just go to AbsoluteComfort.org. That's AbsoluteComfort.org.
Hey, we're pretty social people at WIBC. You can find us all over social media. See what we're up to on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. We're never more than just away. Just search for 93 WIBC.
Matt Bear has a look at the roads.
Still slow on the west side. Hammer, it's northbound 465. Rockville Road up to 21st. It is a work zone almost over, though. Should be done Monday morning at least. Inbound 65, stop and go MLK to 21st. And eastbound 465 jams up before Allisonville Road down to Penn Pike. It is a construction zone. We are down to one lane until Monday morning. Traffic sponsored by B Window. Design it before you buy it with B Window. Now for a limited time, get up to 50% off all products. 2.99% financing and a $550 installation credit. Trust your home to be. I'm Matt Bear. Follow us for instant traffic updates at WIBC Traffic.
Right now, we are looking at 75 at the American Standard Heating Weather Center at 93 WIBC.
Right now,
Hammer and Nigel present
beer sample.
Fry.
I got some beers. Let's drink them, huh?
Beers on sale, people. Come down, get you some.
Oh, yeah. Hat tip to our pals, Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus, proud sponsors of the Hammer and Nigel Show and sponsor of Beer Sample Friday, ThompsonFurniture.net. Check them out down in Seabus. And it's Friday the 13th, and we had to get this beer. If you grew up in central Indiana, you know who Sammy Terry is, right? There's a Sammy Terry beer line out now from Scarlet Lane Brewing. And here to tell you all about it on Friday the 13th, Beer Sample Friday, ladies and gentlemen, Sammy Terry.
Good evening, my fiends. On this most auspicious October Friday the 13th, George and I brought you the two most appropriate beers to sample in all Hoosierdom this Halloween season. For SammyTerry.com and the master brewery Elise Lane from Scarlet Lane Brewery have concocted both my Sammy Terry Citricolch, where every batch is made with the actual blood of the dragon, fruit, and my new limited edition Sammy 62 Ale in celebration of my upcoming 62 years of bringing horrible haunted fun to Indiana. Tonight, as you watch the original 87 Sammy TV show, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, or any of the 60-plus Sammy Terry shows streaming on SammyTerry.com, you can enjoy a Sammy Terry Kolsch or Sammy 62 Horrorweisen Ale with your family fun Halloween horror. I do hope you and all your listeners have a horrible Halloween and many pleasant nightmares.
I got the 62. Here we go. Cracking it open. Oh, that is good. That is good. That is good cold beer. Thank you, Sammy Terry. Thank you, Scarlet Lane. This is how we start the weekend on Friday the 13th. It's Beer Sample Friday. This is the Hammer and Nigel Show.
seems to torn this boy apart. Like a neon dream, it just don't know me. The bars in this guitar and long neck ice cold beer never broke my heart.
If there is blame to go around, it will begin and it will end right here.
That's Joe Hogsett laying out his crime plan back in 2017.
I am responsible.
The results? Over 800 police have left the force, most since the protests when Joe was absent.
I am responsible.
Murders are up 52%, and the odds of getting away with it are better than a coin flip. Only 35% of cases were solved last year.
I am responsible.
Mental health is underfunded. Homelessness on the rise. And now, Indy ranks 4th in lethal overdoses.
I am responsible.
It's just not working.
I am responsible because I happen to be the mayor.